Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another fine episode of this podcast. We are the Infinite Ammo Syndicate. This is podcast number 24, E3's Aftermath. This is the first time we're doing this podcast, this gaming podcast, with the new name. We kind of explained why we changed it in another video. But joining me today is the host of the show, the main host, Mr. Renegade Operative.
Fireworks suck. That's all you need to know.
You know these children, people like to sell fireworks early, so that's usually bad news when it comes to stuff like this. Next up is going to be a co-host, Mr. Captain Chaos.
What's going on, guys? I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot to talk about on this podcast, so it'll be interesting.
We got a lot going on. Next up, the next co-host, Mr. Bio Devil Dom.
Hey, how's it going? First off, I just want to say, Reapers, it sounded like you were about to call him Captain Crunch, okay? Second of all, a lot of interesting stuff from E3, a lot of other things not so much, and other things I'm pretty excited about, so I can't wait to talk about that.
I wanted to call him Captain Crunch, but no, we would have got copyrighted.
Oh, yeah.
You get sponsored though. Next up, we got a new person coming in to help us talk about things, Mr. Joe Soda.
Hello. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, man. It's good having new people here all the time. All right, and last but not least, Mr. Reapers. That's me. Yes. I'm happy to be here too. Man, it's been a while.
Here. You forgot one other person.
No, I didn't. All right. First question, though. Last but not
This
least,
troll, man. This troll.
Of course, I'm kidding, Mr. Devil Hunter James.
How's it going? And Reapers is a faggot.
I'm not. This is who we are. This is what we do. So the first thing I want to talk about on this podcast is going to be, of course, the Xbox One X reveal and everything that Microsoft had to say. And I want you guys to go first before me.
I guess I can take the floor with this one really quick. With that particular topic, are we just talking about the official name, or are we talking about the price point, or what are we talking about specifically?
I think let's talk about the name first. Like, just go through everybody and tell us what we think about the name, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay, yeah. I don't like the name. I don't like the name because I feel as though it's a very lazy name, far more lazier than the PlayStation 4 Pro, in my opinion, and that in of itself is a lazy name. But I feel like Microsoft could have called this the Xbox One Elite or the Xbox One, like, I don't know, like Gold or something in reference to Xbox with the new like subtitle name for the one. X just kind of feels like they were like, quick, we didn't come up with the name. Let's just come up with something on the fly, and they were just like, I got it, X, and just called it a day, and didn't really take the time to think about what they should call this. I mean, hell, even like if they called the Xbox One Scorpio sounds like a better name than X.
Yeah, I understand why they made the name. Obviously, it was to fit the Xbox One X in the lineage of the Scorpio, but I mean, it's a bad name. I don't like just Xbox One X. It sounds like a porn name, in my opinion. But yeah, I understand they were trying to make it like, going back to what I said, they were trying to make it like the Xbox One. This is another iteration of it. But this name just sounds simple, but it's boring. It doesn't sound very interesting. I think the code names so far in this generation sound much more superior than the names they picked.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. I mean, I agree. It sounds, to me, like everybody else has said, it sounds lazy. I feel like they could have easily come up with a better name than what it ended up being, which is the One X. I just kind of, whenever I heard that name, I couldn't help but laugh my ass off. I was like, how how do you have this team of people, but yet you can't come up with a better name than that?
Also, they tried to be creative because the abbreviations spell Xbox.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but that's what it does.
That might have been what they were going for, but who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah, that was like the coolest thing. I thought I figured that out on my own, was that it's abbreviated out Xbox. And then when I realized everybody else knew, I was just kind of like, oh, well.
But yeah, I mean, there's just so many other names they could have chosen from. I just don't understand why they went with that. It's just so lazy to me.
I agree with Dom. Elite sounded good.
Yeah, Elite or like the they just kept the project name. I mean, Scorpio was fine. So I don't know. That's pretty much my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've really never heard any naming of a console, except honestly probably for PlayStation, just because they're going numbered, where I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, or oh, that that's a good name. I mean, as soon as I heard like originally, like whenever the Wii had been announced, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of like I don't hate the name. It's not terrible, but I don't understand why they didn't go from 360 to 720. Because that would have made at least a little bit more sense, but they went from 360 to 1.
The memes, Reapers.
I guess.
Yeah, the Xbox too.
There was a lot of memes when they were announcing the next Xbox.
Yeah, it's really weird because it looks like a PS2 in a way.
Mm-hmm. I think the one thing they're trying to avoid by probably going with numbers or anything like that, they don't want to sound like inferior whenever the next PlayStation comes out. That's why I don't think they named the 360 like 2 or Xbox One, Xbox 3. They don't want people going into stores and hearing a higher number on a competitor's console.
That's kind of weird. I mean, I feel like if you, like myself, I am Hispanic, kayfabe broken. I'm not black, well, kind of. I'm not. But I feel like if you have family that are kind of not really good with English, and you kind of, let's say you're a kid, and you're asking them for the Xbox One X, they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to go to the store. What did he say again? Did he say X or S? Well, the S is much cheaper. I'm pretty sure he's going to say S. So they're going to buy the cheaper one because they're like, oh, no, it sounded like you said S, not X. So that's kind of going to screw people over in that way. Also, I think they were planning on calling it the Elite, which would have been terrible because then, idiots at GameStop would have been like, oh, you mean the 360 Elite? And it's like, no, jackass, I'm talking about the new thing.
Yeah, I agree. People make mistakes like that all the time with terminology.
True, although... but I mean, by comparison to just calling it X, you know what I mean? Like, it would have been far better to just call it that than anything else. Also, Brandon came in a little bit late, but we'll get to his introduction in a moment. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like just, again, like X is just kind of a lazier name. At least with like when you had the different editions for 360, there was like arcade and Elite and et cetera. But with this, it's just kind of like, it does feel like they just kind of came up with the name last minute.
But Dom, it's ingenious. It spells Xbox.
So I think the next thing I kind of want to talk about is the specs. What do you guys think?
Go
ahead.
Before we do you want to hear what Brandon has to say on the name?
Yeah.
About what?
The
Xbox
One
name.
X name.
Yeah.
It's dumb. I mean,
Go ahead, Brandon.
okay, they could call it something else though, like Elite or something like that, but it's whatever.
Oh, you said the same thing as Dom.
The Xbox XXX.
Okay, the thing that
Xander Cage.
Yeah, Ren did mention, and he did remind me. Yeah, there is an Xbox 360 Elite, which I think was the best version they made. I think it fixed the red ring, so maybe that's why they didn't want to reuse that.
I think if they wanted to keep it like within brand names like the One, they might as well bring back the Elite. I mean, Xbox One Elite is pretty simple, pretty appealing. That people will pick it up and figure, oh, it's an upgraded version of the Xbox One, and maybe put that as the slogan because they're talking about, oh, this is the most powerful console anyway. So I think for the most part, it's just all about that sort of marketing. Them putting all these phrases and letters and numbers makes it confusing as well. But still, the name is just very basic and simplistic, and it makes me just realize that the Xbox One X is just pretty much a slightly upgraded Xbox One, because a lot of their games are playing like at 30 FPS. A lot of people thought it was going to be a game changer at 4K 60, which was ridiculous.
Absurd.
Can I just say
that kind
something?
of goes into the next question.
Before we get into that, I just want to say something that kind of goes off of what you mentioned, Ren, with the marketing, because and just like you said, they could have really played off the marketing with the name too. Like if they had say for argument's sake they called it the Xbox One Elite, right? Mm-hmm. They could have just been like, only the elite gamers play this, or only people who are into like this hardcore gaming would be into the elite crowd, and just kind of play with that marketing.
Why does that remind me of like Sega and Nintendo and all that stuff back then? Like
blast processing.
Processing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they could have had fun with the marketing too, but it just it comes off as really just lazy naming, in my opinion.
I agree. We should move on to the next one. That
talk
price.
Specs. Now, you want to talk about price or specs?
We could do both.
We can talk about
they kind of lean into each other, so yeah, do both.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll tackle this. I don't remember. Somebody would have to remind me. I remember they said this was going to have specs similar. It was going to have hardware similar to a GTX 1070. It was going to have, what was it, 16 gig or some like 8 gigs of GDDR5, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was going to have water cooling. Like it was going to be the first console to have water cooling. I like the idea of that, but there are a lot of potential problems that come with water cooling.
Yes.
Especially when you build a PC, water cooling is a very efficient way to cool. It's definitely better than air cooling, but there's also a lot of the main problem with that is that if the pipes potentially burst, there's a very rare chance of that happening. But if the pipes burst, the water will leak out and damage all of your hardware. So if the water damages your motherboard, you're pretty much fucked if those pipes burst. So we've never had a console before that has had water cooling. And I don't know how, because console hardware and PC hardware are two very different things. So I'm not really sure how they're going to be able to have this work in a console. I mean, I could be completely wrong and they have this working perfectly fine and there's no potential problems. But I can see this being a huge issue at launch, that there may be the potential problem of these pipes bursting and just destroying everything. I just see a lot of problems coming from this. So I don't know. I could be, like I said, I could be wrong and it could be fine. But it seems like this could pose a potential issue. And there was also all this about 4K, everything being 4K. That's not exactly true because as I was calling bullshit when I first heard about all these games, Phil Spencer claiming that these games were in 4K, like native 4K, or well, he didn't say native 4K, but he's saying 4K, and that's not entirely true. Yeah, true 4K, which is pretty much the same, more or less the same thing. But yeah, they're being advertised as running at 4K, and that's not exactly true because as we've learned later from the Assassin's Creed Origin gameplay that we saw, that was actually running at a dynamic resolution, meaning that if something is happening on screen that is too taxing for the hardware, the resolution will change depending on how intense the game is and how just how much it is taxing the console. So yeah, it's not running at 4K all the time. Granted, as far as I know, the PS4 Pro does not either, but the PS4 Pro also is not claiming to be, trying to sell itself at least on 4K. It's mostly just saying, hey, it's an upgraded PS4. With the One X, it is selling itself entirely, mostly from what I'm seeing, based on its hardware and trying to basically say, oh, this is the best console ever. It's going to run games at a really high resolution. And now they weren't talking about frame rate, and Phil quoted later about it. There was a quote by Phil later about how, 60 frames doesn't matter and all this stupid shit. But they were mostly talking about resolution and how it's going to be, 4K. So first of all, I just don't think it's a good idea to sell a console based on that, just being this technical powerhouse, which I highly doubt it will be.
Right.
And if it is, even still, there are no games, there are no exclusives for it. If it's just not a good idea for two reasons. For one reason, really, it's because, for two, because one, it has no exclusives. Two, because even if it is the more powerful console and it plays the multiplats at a higher resolution, there's always, you could just build a budget PC. Just get a PC and play it on there if you want to play multiplats, because all the games they showed are on Windows 10 are going to just be on PC in general. So there's no point.
Do you mind if I... Oh, go ahead.
But my main point is that there's no... I just can't see... And I'm trying to be fair. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm not trying to sound biased. But I'm just going off of what I've heard. There is no reason to buy this. I want... Like I said, when I first watched this, I wanted them to give me a reason to buy an Xbox or an Xbox One, and they couldn't. They didn't do it,
right?
Because all they ended up talking about most of the show was hardware, and I don't care about that because I have a gaming PC, so it doesn't matter to me. But that's pretty much that's all I had to say.
Yeah, so because I know we're gonna try to get through everything, so I'm gonna try to go through as fast as I possibly can with this particular topic. The price sucks, but I think part of the reason why it's so high is because they added things like the water cooling and some of the other parts in there that are just more for power, essentially. But when it comes down to it, just like Chaos said, I think that there is that potential problem of those pipes leaking and just frying everything in that console. It's an interesting idea, and maybe it could be something that we'll see in future consoles in further generations. But for now, it just kind of I'm not really so sure myself. But I could also see this being as big of a problem potentially as the Red Ring with the original 360. So I hope that's not the case for people looking forward to potentially purchasing the X, but that could be an issue where it's almost as bad as the Red Ring from 360. A lot of the games that they showed off, I could care less, and I know we're going to be talking about them in a moment, but yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, they did the same thing they've done before, where they had the gameplay shown off on a PC with similar specs.
Oh, I forgot to mention that.
So we don't really know what the games are actually going to look like on the X. We just know what they'll look like on a PC with similar specs.
Yeah, they said this for Anthem, right? It was revealed this week that Anthem was running on PC. Yeah, and Metro too. Yeah. At 30 FPS is going to be on consoles as well, so it's not much to look forward to there.
Yeah, so when it comes down to it, it's I don't really know. I think really the only thing that Microsoft got me interested in just a little bit, but it also disappointed me at the same time, was the original Xbox backwards compatibility. It's interesting because maybe they can bring in some games that I personally own and would be personally interested in playing through backwards compatibility if I ever got an Xbox One, but also disinterested me because they're not going to be focusing on the entire library, just like with the 360, which is really a missed opportunity, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just, and that's another thing. I mean, they promised backwards compatibility, but there's not, as far as, I mean, wasn't there something about there not being like a huge lineup of original Xbox games that were going to be on backwards compatibility for the One X? Something like that. Like there was,
it was
30
just
games or something.
They didn't say an exact amount of games,
maybe
but
I'm
they
wrong
just
about
said they just said that don't expect it to be a huge library. So essentially, basically look at the 360 lineup for backwards compatibility and expect it to be about as big as that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joe, you want to talk about this?
Sure. I dropped out there for 1 second. I don't know what happened. Are we talking about
the price and the specs?
Okay, yeah, I'm not a whole much of like a tech guy, but I mean, I was really hoping when I saw the price that it was going to be $399. I mean, $499 is probably just as bad for them to launch at with this as it did with the original Xbox One. I mean, I personally at first didn't buy one. I got a PlayStation 4 first, and then after they lowered the price and everything, and it came down. But I have an S right now, and I mean, it runs fine. I know you guys had mentioned about the liquid cooling, and I worked in retail for quite a few years, and I've seen how things come in off of the delivery trucks. So I'm already assuming that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, definitely somebody could mishandle that and break it.
Yeah, I was gonna say price is not that great. 500 clams is a lot of money. We all don't work high-paying jobs. I'm not a politician. I don't get paid that much. But liquid cooling, it sounds great. It's great. But if you're ordering online and Mr. UPS or Laser Ship or whatever your provider of your stuff comes in, they start flipping the box around. The box falls off the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to mess your stuff up. Specs-wise, it's a beast that is really good. It's better than the PS4 Pro. I'm not going to lie. But what we're going to talk about soon is the games. The games didn't really show it, in my opinion. But, yeah, Mr. Brendan, are you still here? All right, James. Second up, Brendan, what's up?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Had to unmute. What's the question?
Question is, what do you think about the price and the specs?
The price? Well, the specs are, as I expected, be slightly better than the PS4 Pro because it came out later. As for the price, 500 is a deal or a steal because either it is going to sell or it's not. That's the end of the day because the PS4 Pro is $400, and the irony behind this is that Xbox One originally launched at $500, and the X right now is going to be $500. So this is going to be interesting to see how Microsoft is going to market this because they have no games for the system that can actually push numbers, in my opinion. Not much else to say. So somebody else keep going.
All right, Mr. James.
I get why it's 500 to some extent because of the tech they put in it is more expensive. So of course it's going to go up, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to do that well just because of the game situation, but that's another topic. I think PlayStation's going to stay as it is. If we're talking about
unless
competition.
Microsoft surprises us, which I doubt, but
if they had exclusives, I would say the power is worth the price, but they don't really have much for exclusives. So what's the point of a more powerful?
That's
console?
what I'm looking for. So
yeah, the entire show was just multiplats. Stuff you can see at other conferences.
Ren can tell you, I was like, this is a great PC gaming show this year. That's what I looked at it as.
PC gaming show wasn't any better either. So
that makes me laugh that Microsoft could do a better PC show than, PC show.
Unintentionally, at least.
Yeah.
Let's,
they have to get exclusives or they're not going to get anything.
Speaking of video games on a console, what do you guys think about the games that they showed on the E3 floor for Microsoft? I'm talking about it in full, all the games in general.
Can I take it?
Yes.
I'd say the one that interested me the most was Anthem. Just because I like the jetpack stuff, I guess, and the missile launchers are pretty hype. But I really want a beta before I buy it. I'm not sure, like, completely yet. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was kind of a snore fest. I think that was at Microsoft.
No, that was
No, it's just EA only. Damn, I thought they did it. All right.
No.
Crackdown 3. The only thing that was great about that was fucking Terry Crews. Let's be honest.
Power.
Yeah, more power. Old Spice, bitch. State of Decay 2. I was like, looks like a slideshow half the time, so I'm not very impressed. I don't care.
James, it's apparently more relevant than Crash Bandicoot.
Man,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Well, you know, us Sony lackeys don't know, right?
We really have to make like a podcast where we just roast stuff, like only at some point. But what didn't they do Forza as well? I think.
Yeah, they did.
Forza 7.
Forza's boring as shit. Like it's a tech demo. Yeah, it just looks like a tech demo.
They also showed us a brand new car.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Tommy will fucking love it.
Yeah, Anthem is the thing I'm looking forward to the most. Okay, so State of Decay 1, I kind of want to play it, but State of Decay 2, the trailer was super choppy in frame rate.
Yeah.
That was a big issue. Crackdown 3, a lot of people had problems with the lack of destructible environments, so a lot of people are saying that Microsoft lied about that. Forza 7 tech demo is going to play at 4K 60 on the Scorpio or Xbox One X. That's probably the only game that's going to be 4K 60 on there. And that's about it. I mean, the only thing that impressed me from Xbox's conference was Anthem. Everything else was just appealing to indies, trying to get the indie crowd back, because I think Xbox burnt them in the past with like, oh, it's hard to make indie games on our platform, so we're going to shelve you guys out and make people pissed. Now they want to get back into the bed with them. So yeah, it's not a lot really from Xbox's conference. Like I said, a lot of multiplats, and Anthem wasn't even shown at Xbox's conference entirely. I think we had to wait until we saw it at another press event.
No, it was, I think, because it was
there, but no gameplay.
Anthem?
Yeah, Anthem. Yeah, it was at
Anthem
EA's
had
conference.
like pre-rendered CG gameplay, but it was like, wasn't it teased at the EA conference? And
no,
then
it was
like,
teased.
It was
teased at Microsoft, shown at EA's conference.
EA.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought it was the other way around.
The other way around.
Yeah, because I remember it was at Microsoft. Yeah, it was at Microsoft.
EA.
Yeah. No, it was at Microsoft. They showed more about it.
And Microsoft.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was pretty sure I was like, I remember that right, but.
Oh yeah, okay. So, it was shown there, and it's like, it's a good looking game, but on the One X, it's not gonna run like that since they confirmed it on PC. It's on PC hardware. So that's the only game I'm really looking forward to is Anthem, and that's it. And because it's Windows 10 exclusives, I mean, I'm looking forward to Metro too, but because it's on Windows 10, it's like, why bother getting an Xbox at this rate?
Well, Metro is also coming to PS4 anyway.
It's coming to Steam.
Yeah, so it's like...
Dom, you brought something up, actually. They mentioned a lot of console exclusives, launch exclusives. Remember the terms that they showed there?
Yeah, a lot of the terms and what you brought up, they were just kind of like PR jargon. It was like, it's a console exclusive, or it's, you know... and I think Reapers, weren't you the one that was pointing this out too? Like when we were watching the show, how every time they would show a game, it would say that it's a console exclusive, or
I think it was Reapers and Chaos.
Console launch.
I did that.
Yeah, it was Reapers and Chaos saying some games are on PC.
Right,
because they said Windows 10 on the bottom left. If you notice, it says Windows 10.
Well, before that, you said there was games like Black Desert already on PC.
Yeah. Black Desert Online had been out for a while now, and it's been out on PC.
Yeah, so it's not really like super exclusive to Xbox. Oh my god.
I'll go ahead. The most interesting thing to me they showed was Metro Exodus. Like, I played the first 2 Metro games. I like them. So I'm looking forward to Exodus. I still am not sure about the story, but I guess I don't know. I'm looking forward to that. The other games they showed, I'm a little bit interested in Anthem. Anthem looks all right. Most of it looks like pre-rendered gameplay. It doesn't look like actual gameplay. Same thing with Metro, though. I mean, Metro was just a CG trailer, so. But yeah, everything else was just I'm pretty indifferent about. Like Sea of Thieves. I mean, it's an interesting concept, but I don't know. I'm just not really big on it. I'm not. Oh yeah, I'm not big on just it being multiplayer only. Like a game has to be single player as well for me to really want to continue to play on into the multiplayer. There are some games where that can work, but like Sea of Thieves, I'm not sure. So I don't really know too much about it, so I can't really say either way. Forza, don't care. It's a racing game. Well, it's a tech demo mostly, but yeah, everything else they showed, I'm just really. This is just more multi-plats like Assassin's Creed. I've gotten past Assassin's Creed 2, so I don't know. There's so many games in that series. I'm just not caught up at all, and I'm just not really interested because it looks like I'm like I said, it looks like the same game. There are some differences between this and like some of the other ones, like you being able to fly a fucking bird. But other than that, I don't really. It just looks like another Assassin's Creed game. So yeah, most of the other games I'm just kind of. The only one I'm really interested in is Metro. That's pretty much it. Oh, and State of Decay 2. Yeah, I agree. That looks like fucking garbage. Like the trailer for that, like that. I think that was actual gameplay, wasn't it? Like it was either gameplay or it was just.
There was gameplay.
Yeah,
it looks horrible. Like it just looks so unoptimized. Like it's just the frame rate was in the trash. The graphics do not look very good. The models and the animations are really janky looking, like just really wonky. Like I don't know, it doesn't look natural.
Right.
Yeah, it did not impress me at all. The first game I wasn't really too fond of either. So,
for me, the game I'm most interested in is Anthem and Metro, even though both of those games are multiplats.
Reapers, what about Minecraft? Minecraft in 4K.
I'm good, sir. I can play that on my phone if I wanted to. Another one that I was most interested in is one that I put a picture of in the chat. It's called The Last Night, which is an indie game that really looked real cool. It was the only indie game other than Cuphead, which I was like, oh, that looks really awesome for an indie thing. So it's kind of those things. They showed Minecraft for some reason. I'm not sure what Microsoft was doing, showing their console that was the strongest in ever and showing off Minecraft. It's kind of like, I don't know, man.
It's really demanding, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're showing off a bunch of colorful, stuff that's kind of looks easy to render. You're not really showing like stuff like Metro and Anthem. Those are like really graphic heavy. So you're looking at it, you're like, okay, it's pushing it. We're seeing what it can do. But when you show stuff like Minecraft and the little animal game that was a VR game at first, it's kind of like I can't tell if it's stronger or if you're just showing me stuff that's easy to run. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I really liked about the conference, which was a shame. And I know that it's going to be on PC, but I don't know. I might get it just so I have everything, so that nobody gives me lip that I like one, console over the other. I'm gonna be like, no, I have everything. So, but that's about it for me. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I was really disappointed. I mean, yeah, with like the lack of exclusives. Crackdown was a game that I played. The first one played a lot of, and primarily at first that was because it came with the Halo 3 beta, and then after playing it for so long, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. So the fact that they're kind of bringing it back is something I'm kind of excited for. Like it was said before, though, like that you can't really showcase a 4K game with that, and a lot of stuff that they showed during gameplay with like missiles hitting parts of the world, like bridges or other parts of like the geometry, you know, built in the city. Nothing was falling apart or exploding like how it had originally been intended or had said that they would have like destruction on like a massive scale.
Yeah, they said the whole city could be destroyed, which is a feat,
Yeah.
but we didn't see that in that trailer.
They had also mentioned too, like using the cloud and this was when they were super heavy on always having the system connected to the internet, that they could put the load on the cloud to do all the like the processing and stuff, so that it wasn't just put all on the system. And I'm wondering now, even though it's on the Scorpio or Xbox X, that I wonder if like a lot of that's changed since then, since what they were showing was not what they had originally promised. Aside from that, I mean, it was kind of a boring conference. I'm a little bit skeptical of Anthem, especially after Mass Effect
Andromeda,
not being what I had hoped it would be. But the thing that got me the most excited, probably, and they only showed it, I think, during the press conference, I don't think they showed it on the floor, was the backwards compatibility with the original Xbox. I'm trying to think of the game that they were showing, the plane game. I can't even remember it now. It's a
forgot.
really old game.
Crimson Skies.
Crimson Skies, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually still have that on my shelf, so if I'm eventually going to be able to put it into an Xbox and play it one day, it'd be good to have instead of just having it as like a collector item or a dust collector, just sitting there not doing anything.
Yeah, I kind of have more faith in Anthem than I do with Andromeda, whatever happened with it, because I believe they had like the New Bloods working on Mass Effect, and they had the main Mass Effect team working on Anthem. So that might be a thing. But Brendan, did you go?
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about the games, right? Microsoft.
Yeah.
There's only a few that caught my interest, but there were multi-plats. But if I had to pick a Microsoft exclusive title, it would be Ori, because the first game was fantastic. That's about it that showed me. The other games I would get to their perspective company like Ubisoft and EA and whatnot.
Right. All right, Mr. James.
One more thing.
Okay.
Shadow of War, that game could be Game of the Year. Just one point out there.
Oh yeah, Shadow of War looks very hype. You could take over kingdoms, and I love the character dialogue, how they're very like, you know, spontaneous with talking to your character. They're very like spot on. It's really enjoyable, and I like that you could take over people as well and control them, and they could do your bidding. That's also kind of hype. We're still on Microsoft, James.
Oh, still in the games or just
The
them
games.
in general?
The games.
I think I already said. No, I went first. Yeah, I already said my piece.
Backwards compatibility. They are not doing this, unfortunately, too much with PlayStation. So I figured this is a huge problem on the PlayStation side as to compared to Microsoft. They're at least trying, you know. Even though some news came out where it's not going to be as extensive as I hoped, because I think they're using like limited titles on their store. So they're trying, but they're not quite there yet, in my opinion. So anyone else want to go for the next one?
Final thoughts or anything?
I give their conference a C. C. Sitting at a C.
Yeah, I'm gonna say C.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I can take the next topic if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I want to talk about Bethesda's E3 announcements.
So
I
late, dude, at midnight too.
Yeah, I missed half of it, so I did not get to see them talk about Skyrim
VR.
and Elder Scrolls Online.
Well,
So
that was the
I was
boring
spared
part.
I was spared from the cancerous part of that conference, and I came in for the hype as shit. Okay, The Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein 2. They're like that was the hype as shit. Okay.
Mhm.
Wolfenstein 2, I've not played any of the Wolfenstein games. I know Martin from the EU podcast will be gifting me Wolfenstein The New Order. He he wanted to gift me a code for that. So I will get onto the Wolfenstein hype soon. And then the Evil Within 2, I'm just super hyped. Like I can't wait to play it. Ren, you're gonna have to edit this in, but like when I saw this trailer at E3, I was basically like this. Like this was my reaction from E3 2016 when I saw fucking Capcom go up to E3 2017 seeing Bethesda, and I'm like, Tango Gameworks, you saved me because I have something to play now that could potentially be a replacement for this shit tier series that Capcom has produced.
Yeah, so real quick, Evil Within 2 looks incredible. It looks like they took everything that was criticized about the first game and made it improve, like the movement, the gunplay looks better, they pulled the camera back, the FOV is really good. The enemies look fucking disgusting, like 10 times more disgusting than the first game.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
They ramped up the gore for both that and Wolfenstein. With the Evil Within, they're also bringing cut concepts, which we kind of talked about in our analysis.
I played a little of Wolfenstein of the New Order. The game is pretty challenging, but it's an old school FPS and it feels really good. I got in those Nazi strongholds and I got wrecked by grenades. So I'm like, yeah, the AI is just on point, and I cannot wait for the second game. It looks pretty stunning in my opinion. The other stuff I did not care for. Fallout VR, Doom VR. Why VR? Elder Scrolls Online, Skyrim on the Switch. Okay.
Get hype.
Yeah, get hype for those 15 frames per second.
And downgrade
for the
graphics,
lake cost
probably.
too.
Yeah, it seems like the conference started off so boring, and it was at midnight, so I was super tired. And then at the end, it really picked up with the 2 new reveals of Wolfenstein and Evil Within 2 coming out this year, which is surprising.
What did you think about the Dishonored DLC?
I still need to play Dishonored, but for Dishonored fans, yeah, that would be really good.
And a lot of the stuff was coming out this year, right? Like the DLC and the new games.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Like 2017.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll go. Yeah, the games they showed off at first were just I did not care about. I only I only played a little bit of Dishonored 2, so I don't really have much of an opinion on the DLC. But yeah, I'm most excited for I am definitely very excited for Evil Within 2. I played the first game. At first, I didn't care too much for it, but after playing it a little bit more and going back and playing it again with the optimized settings and with the game having been fixed after its horrible launch on PC, I did enjoy it a little bit more. I still don't like certain things about the game that I really hope they do address in the sequel, like the traps being very cheap at times. Some of the enemies being like one-hit kill enemies, I really didn't like that. I kind of hope they fix that in the sequel, but I do like the enemies definitely look like they have more variety to them from what I'm seeing of the trailer. There's a lot more there's a lot more variety to the enemies, and they definitely look like they're definitely more grotesque looking than they were in the first game too. So I'm interested in seeing that and how they're going to fight you, like what they're going to do.
Really
because that was one thing I liked about the first game is every enemy, like most of the enemies acted differently. There were some of them that did kind of use the same attacks and all that, but there were some that did different things and you had to adapt to a situation. And I did like that. I hope in the second game they kind of turn that up to 11, so to speak.
Right.
But
really quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but do you think that potentially the reason why it's so like ramped up and just at least from a visual perspective looks a lot better, and potentially from a lot of design choices, it's possibly because they dropped the PS3 and 360 as platforms because the first game had that as
that's probably has something to do with it.
A lot of games got held back from being on last gen.
I don't remember who told me this, but I remember like they might be using a different engine or something for this one.
I kind of doubt it. It still looks like id Tech in my opinion.
Yeah, because I know they were using id Tech for the last one. I think it would be a good idea to use like Unreal 4, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to use that one. It might still be a tech. I just hope that, like I said, that they have it so that it runs, at launch, it runs out the gate, fine, no problems. But then again, we can never be too, we can never be too optimistic about that, considering how PC ports usually, how that usually is. They're not always well optimized. Most of the time, they're not, especially with AAA titles. And I'll just move on to Wolfenstein: New Colossus. This game, I talked about this in my video, shameless plug, where I talk about E3. It definitely looks like they have there's a lot more gore in this than there was in the first game. This is just way more graphic. It's way more detailed when it comes to the gore, because you can shoot. I don't know. I think you could do some of this in the New Order too. But you could shoot off limbs off of enemies, and that looks really fucking awesome. You can kind of hack them up with a blade you get, and that looks like it'll be really fun. There's this new thing they have in New Colossus though, where you have this kind of like mech suit or something. I don't know what the fuck that's about, but it looks like that's going to be really fun to use, because it looks like that kind of gives you an advantage in combat when it comes to at least like mobility. So it looks like you can kind of like more easily maneuver around enemies and kind of like go around them. And like I think one of the scenes I remember was like BJ like sliding in between all the Nazis, just hacking them up, and that was just fucking awesome. So I'm looking forward to, yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this armor can do, or whatever this is that BJ has. It looks pretty sick. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what direction the story is going to go. It looks like there's a ton of new characters that are being introduced for the sequel too. So I'm not really sure. It looks like the main villain is going to be this woman that was in the first game. So not really sure what they're going to do in terms of story. We still haven't seen a lot in regards to that. But we did see a lot of gameplay, so that's always what I look for in these conferences. And they showed off quite a bit for New Colossus. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
All right, Joe, did you see the Bethesda thing?
I did. It was super late. So trying to stay awake was, a little tough. But I mean, they announced or re-announced a bunch of old games. Probably the most exciting thing for me was Skyrim going to the Switch. I mean, I've owned it on almost, I think, every console that it's been on. So, it was kind of a no-brainer that I was going to buy it. I'm wondering what performance, like how it's going to perform on the Switch. Nintendo usually always has, at least they used to, a standard of, quality for stuff that would go on their system. So I'm hoping that they put a little bit more loving care into the port, and that it doesn't run terribly. And I'm super excited for the amiibo support. I've got the game on Xbox One and downloaded the Zelda themed mods, but none of them actually ever really fit right or kind of look right, and that's just hit or miss with mods. So I'm looking forward to official designed by Bethesda costumes and Zelda themed stuff. The New Order, or not the New Order, what is it? The New Colossus looks pretty cool. I played through the first one, I think when that came out 2 years ago or so. And I'm been a huge fan of how they're kind of treating these old IP new. I mean, this could have been Wolfenstein, I think 4 or 5 if they would have just kept numbering. And they did the same thing for Doom with just rebranding it as kind of a new thing. But I mean, I don't have any type of VR or probably any plans to get one anytime soon. So the other announcement they made with VR and Fallout 4 and again Skyrim, if I had a VR, I probably would get Skyrim for that too. But aside from that, I mean, it was kind of boring and didn't really do a whole lot for me.
Right. I thought it was kind of boring too. I think there's only 2 games that I actually cared about, because I think I can speak for all of us when we say we don't really care about VR. we think it's a cool feature. It's a cool thing. It's the future, whatever. But we're kind of used to just playing with the controller and just looking at your screen
Right.
with our eyeballs and whatnot.
It's kind of just too expensive right now. That's the problem. Like, I'm sure it could be fun playing with it, but it's just too much money. Like, I just think that personally, it's very hard for the average consumer to get a hold of a VR headset because it's way too much money.
The other issue is
Yeah.
too that there's a lack of supported games for it.
That's
that are
also true.
interesting.
Yes. Yeah. It's
But
like
yeah,
either
Resident
old
Evil
games.
7 on it.
Yeah, it's either like they have support for it, or there's like no really solid exclusives for VR that's really like coming out, like the mainline games that you can play on your PS4 now with the controller.
They're mostly like glorified mini games, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's also true. Unfortunately, I do like the fact that, I mean, sometimes gimmicks can be fun, but other times it can hurt your wallet. So that's kind of the point where some of the cast is on now. Like, it's way too expensive for some people. But I mean, if I had a VR headset, I would try it, no doubt.
Yeah. I find it weird that they called the VR VFR.
VFR, yeah.
Right.
They didn't really explain what it was, so I just
Virtual
named it.
fucking reality? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's-
something like that.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Like, the BFG is the big fucking gun, so that's probably what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
staying
so
with that type of theme.
Yeah.
But I think it's my favorites were the same as these guys, which was the Order and the main Wolfenstein and Evil Within. That's it. Did James go already? Did you
Is
go?
this for the Bethesda conference?
Yeah, did you go?
No.
Go ahead.
The Dishonored 2 DLC looks pretty good. I'm not finished with my playthrough of it though on PC, so we'll see. The Wolfenstein is fucking hype, of course. Look, I never got to play the first one, but thanks to Martin helping Dom out, and in part that means he'll help me, so I'll get to give the first game a go. But I'm pretty excited for the second game. Those are the only games I was mostly excited for. Oh, and the Evil Within 2 looks all right. I'll give it a go.
All right. Cool. I think we're gonna move on to. Yeah, I was
Go
gonna say
ahead, Randall.
we're gonna go to you. That's what I meant to say.
Say what now? It's my turn? Well, if it's my turn, I can go. We can talk about some Ubisoft. Yeah, Ubisoft. Okay, so Far Cry 5. I mean, it does look good. I like the fact that they have the whole co-op dynamic in play. I like the fact that the dog can attack people and get their weapons for you. Beyond Good and Evil 2, I have no experience with the first, so I can't really say much about it. Skull and Bones. Wait, Brandon didn't go? God damn it. Well, Brandon, you can go ahead and go, and I can finish off
This guy was
Ubisoft.
trying to tell you that, and then he just like, oh no, I'm gonna go ahead.
So for some reason, you guys like were mute for me. It was weird. So I just went on ahead. But Brandon, you can go ahead. I think he's dead. Oh wait, never
Ren,
mind.
can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay. Yeah, Brandon's talking.
Hey,
I don't know
what?
why I can't hear.
For some reason, he was muted for me. But go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll repeat though. The three games I like is Dishonored, Wolfenstein, and Evil Within. Especially Evil Within. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Okay.
All right,
We're
Ryan, now
gonna
you can
continue
interrupt.
on with Ubisoft.
Yeah, you can interrupt again. Is he dead?
No, I said it
Hmm.
could be my internet, but if I cut out the recording, screwed. So, back to Ubisoft.
I got backup, so.
Yeah, back to Ubisoft.
Oh,
Let's see. What point was I on? Okay, so Beyond Good and Evil 2. I don't have much to say about it. I haven't played the first. It looks too edgy, in my opinion. It's like they were cursing and shit. Monkey was like, just cursing this pig guy out. And, I mean, it looks like it could be a fun game. It has a lot of hype behind it, which kind of concerns me because a lot of games that had a lot of hype behind it and it had so many years of development ended up to be disappointing. But I'll give it a go. Next we have, let me see here. We have Skull and Bones. Basically Black Flag 2.0 from the looks of it, from what everybody said, it looks exactly like, an AC pirate game that was stripped out of AC. I haven't played AC4. I do have it on my PC. Eventually, I'll get into it. A lot of people said that it's a good pirate game, not a good AC game. So yeah, I want to see what that's about like later on when I play it. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I don't care too much about that. Assassin's Creed Origins. They should have stayed on hiatus, but maybe this game will be good. The combat looks kind of iffy, if you ask me. The Crew 2. I don't care for the Crew. I don't care for the Crew. And Starlink Battle of Atlas had this weird spaceship controller thingy that looked like it's very uncomfortable to play. I don't know why it was so weird, and it's like it looks so uncomfortable. It's bad marketing.
You knock that shit off the controller because it hangs off your controller.
Yeah, like it would fall on the floor or something, and it's like I'm trying to play.
Accidentally bitch slap it off your controller. That's what I've been.
Yeah, it's like you'll break it, almost instantly. So Ubisoft was, they were okay, but they weren't really that spectacular. I think I gave their conference like a D because it seemed like, oh yeah, the Just Dance segment too. Oh, Sub-Zero's on stage with LEDs dancing everywhere. Tap dancing like fuck. I was like, what's going on? This segment makes no sense. Help me. But that's what I think about it. Just a D. It wasn't that great. So anyone else want to go?
I guess I'll go ahead. I mean, the biggest thing for me, obviously, is Far Cry 5. I like what they had to show off with Far Cry 5. Looked interesting. I have not played the first Beyond Good and Evil. I've heard good things about it, but we've apparently been, people have been waiting for Beyond Good and Evil 2 for like 13 years or so. So I could understand why people are really hyped for this. I don't know. I was excited even though I hadn't really played the first game. I was looking forward to seeing what would happen with Beyond Good and Evil 2. And I liked what I saw from the trailer. I liked the characters' personality and how they interacted with each other. I thought they had, I like the monkey guy. But apparently I heard this was going to be a prequel, so I'm not sure how to feel about that because this is like Beyond Good and Evil 2. But yeah, it's a prequel, so I don't know. The title's just weird. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's kind of a weird situation. Skull and Bones, like Ren said, it's just Black Flag, and I don't know. I'm not too keen on the game just being ship combat. Like if it's just ship combat, I'm going to get pretty bored after a while of just playing it. Unless they do something to make it interesting, I guess. But I don't know. And apparently most of the assets were taken from Black Flag anyway, so yeah. They showed off Just Dance. I don't care. It's shovelware. I don't know who's really excited for Just Dance. They showed, I think it was like the Crew. Yeah, the Crew. I think it's like a racing game or like some kind of. I'm not sure if it's like open world or I don't know, but yeah, I'm not really interested in that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there was only like a few things they showed that I was really interested in. They showed apparently, obviously, yeah, they talked about Origins, Assassin's Creed Origins. Don't care about Well, not really too excited for another Assassin's Creed game, especially after they said they were taking a break. And then they come back like a year later with another Assassin's Creed game. So, yeah, not really too many exciting announcements with Ubisoft aside from Far Cry and I guess for some people, Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil. Somebody else want to go?
If no one else wants to go, I can go.
Oh, I'm about to go myself. I'll go after you now.
Okay. Well, I would say...
I forgot about Steep.
Yeah, I was actually going to start off with Steep. Okay. Why did Steep need to be there? That's my question. I mean, even like they talked about Rainbow Six Siege on the pre-show, so like I feel like that would have made a lot more sense to talk about Steep on the pre-show, because it's just they're really just talking about content updates. So we didn't really need to see that. Like, why couldn't we get like a teaser for a new Splinter Cell? Like, I know they acknowledged that there was a demand for a new Splinter Cell. They said that they have a new Splinter Cell in the works, but they're just not ready to show it off, or they're not ready to do anything with it. So it's just kind of like, all right, but I think you should really at least show something, say something about it, other than we're not ready. Assassin's Creed Origins, I think everyone's on the same page with this one. They really should have delayed that. Really should have it come out later than 2017. It's actually, I think it's coming out a little bit earlier, because usually they have a November release for Assassin's Creed. Far Cry 5, it's Far Cry. Okay, that big fucking whoop. I think for the most part, like, I was kind of bored from Ubisoft's press conference. For the most part, it really just was not interesting. I know a lot of people were pretty pissed about Beyond Good and Evil 2 because of the change in art direction and tone for the way that the dialogue is.
I think most people were pissed that it's a prequel than anything, because they want to see the story of Jade. So, unfortunately, they're going in this direction.
Yeah, I can understand that. Honestly, it's I don't know. Like, was there anything about it being a prequel before we got that news that it was a prequel?
I think before the trailer,
so.
no. They said it was in development and that was it. But now it's like it's a prequel because they showed it. So.
Yeah. I mean, you know, for the most part, I just really was not impressed by what Ubisoft had to show. I feel like they really should have taken the time to show us games that were far more interesting. I feel like the only thing that was remotely interesting was like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, even though, you know, I think for the most part we agree that it should be on hiatus, and then maybe Skull and Bones, but that's about it. So if anybody wants to go after me, I'm good. I'm done.
All right, I'll go next. I'll make mine pretty brief. Far Cry 5. It kind of caught my interest with the setting, but I probably won't play it unless Renegade gets it. It was good that somebody actually, the fans get the sequel, but you know, I'm not interested personally. Skull and Bones, not a fan because I didn't enjoy the naval battles in Assassin's Creed, so I could care less. Rayman Rabbits. On to the next one, Assassin's Creed Origins. That I'm actually looking forward to that personally, but I do agree that Assassin's Creed should be more on a hiatus though. If they actually were to bring out another game, it should be at least a remake of the first game. Me personally, but that's a different story. The Crap 2, not interested personally. Starlink, I have no idea what that is.
It's
Can someone tell me what Starlink is? Because I have no idea what it is.
It's the space battle game they showed that had like the spaceship on the controller. Remember? It's pretty like forgettable, to be honest. Like, they showed this concept and I was like, at first people thought it was gonna be Switch exclusive, and then they showed the Xbox and PS4 controllers with the spaceship.
I keep forgetting to mention that game when I talk about this conference. Yeah, it's just so forgettable, really. I think that's why.
It's really forgettable. Like, it was a 2-minute trailer, and that was it.
It looked a lot like No Man's Lie, to be honest. Like, I think that's why a lot of people were at least excited or like curious about it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a decent No Man's Lie. Maybe it won't be No Man's Lie 2.0.
No Man's Lie.
No Man's Low. A tall order, my friend. A tall order.
Oh, Ren, did you mention that Splinter Cell thing?
Yeah. Okay, so Splinter Cell. Why wasn't it there and we got Steep DLC is what everyone wants. Everyone wants to see Sam Fisher come back. So that was pretty disappointing. I think people wanted that last year too, if I am not too mistaken on that.
I did.
Yeah. So it's pretty disappointing. Steep DLC, I can't get it. I mean, if you like Steep, that's fine. It's not my type of game. I prefer like non-simulation racers or games of that nature. I don't like simulation racers at all. So.
Apparently that happened, by the way.
So Ubisoft wants to do it, but they didn't show it at E3. So I mean, at least it's being in the works. You know, it's not like they threw it away.
We might show it in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
I hate companies that do. On a side note, I hate companies that do that, like fucking Capcom, where they know that people want something, but they won't fucking put it out or say anything about it.
I think if they
I
think honestly, if they did that, like people would be very, very excited. I know Blacklist is a very good game, so it's about time to make a follow up.
Should see our video where Sam looks like a pushed in butt.
Oh yeah, the Crooked Sam. Go watch that immediately.
We were making that joke too at the Sony press conference. Like, what if they had Sam change his lights from green to blue and say that Splinter Cell was going to be a PS4 exclusive?
Oh,
Remember that?
Such a troll.
Oh, that would be a shot to the gut right there to Microsoft, man. But yeah, Ubisoft was I think it was a C- for me, so they didn't show way too much that impressed me.
Yeah, C-. I mean, I think honestly, all of these conferences, maybe except for EA, I think EA's was the worst in my opinion, or like C-.
Yeah, Far Cry. Far Cry was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What else to have? I don't really remember Ubisoft stuff. Good Beyond Good and Evil 2. I never played the first one. The second one looks pretty cool. I mean, that monkey was pretty cool. You know, shout out to
monkey.
Yeah, R.I.P. Harambe. This one's for him. So
Yeah, pour a bottle out.
but yeah, that's the only two games I kind of cared about, unfortunately. So, does everybody go?
Not yet.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. Yeah, with Beyond Good and Evil 2, with it being the prequel and like the art style change and everything, the first one, I mean, I don't know if it's spoilers for like a 14, 15-year-old game. It ended on sort of a cliffhanger, which is why people are more upset that it's a prequel than continuing the story. And it was a game that I haven't played it for a very long time, but it is one that I did enjoy. I think I still have my PS2 memory card with my game save on it, actually. But I'm surprised everybody's kind of down on Ubisoft. It was actually probably for me the one that I enjoyed watching the most. The Mario and Rabbids. I mean, it is like a silly-ish type RPG, but I mean, at this point, for Switch owners like myself, we're all kind of starving and hungry for really any Nintendo type, what's the word?
IP.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Any of the Nintendo franchises coming out with, even if it's just a spin-off game. I mean, I've been dying for a Virtual Console, and that's
to me that game looked like XCOM way too much. Maybe that's why, like XCOM flashbacks, but that's probably why I wasn't too interested in it.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed. I mean, originally when I had first started even playing those games, I never really liked them that much. They, like, the controls, the free roaming, and the combat just never felt right. But like, my girlfriend is huge into those games, and I've been watching her play them over the last couple of years. And I started getting into them and started playing them and trying to get adjusted to the controls and everything. So seeing like the new gameplay that they have for Origins, it seems like they've changed a lot of things. At least with combat, it doesn't look the same. It seems like it's different. It does look rough still. And I do agree that they could definitely probably take at least another year to polish it and not push it out. But they didn't even really take a year off from the franchise. They had released a movie, and then they released that re-HD compilation, the Ezio collection.
Oh, yeah.
They still technically released a game every year since like 2009.
That is crazy. Like, basically, original Ubisoft claims were that AC was going on a break after Syndicate, and then they kept on going again and again and again. I think if they just waited like maybe a few more years between games, because yearly, I mean, what really can you do besides just rehash the same content and release it
Right.
because it's coming out in a short amount of time, you know?
I mean, I think the real reason is just because it's the Ubisoft cash cow. They don't want to abandon it.
Yeah, it's something that I'm more interested in now. I'm just hoping that it doesn't end up being as like rough around the edges as Unity was. I don't know if any of you guys played that, but I'm sure you all seen like,
I've seen
the
it.
faceless memes and stuff.
The face memes, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, the crew not a racing guy unless it's like an arcade type of burnout game, which we haven't seen for quite a while. And the Starlink caught my attention. And then when I saw you guys talked about like the spaceships on the controller, the first thing I thought of was how I'm pretty sure it's Activision does like that Skylander stuff. Like I was hoping that they didn't do that with this because it looked like when they were swapping off parts of the ship that it was changing in game.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's as cool as it looked. That's not an investment that I would be willing to sink any type of money into.
Thanks for reminding us, Ren.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, we saw almost look at that and be like, we fucked up so badly. Did this happen in another game of theirs or something?
Yeah,
or there was another game in general?
They had that one guy that had the weird looking face.
Yeah, it was a real weird. It was like an up texture and up res, and the way that game generates faces is it's random, so you won't get that every time you play it. But then, when it does pop up, he looks like a clown, or even like maybe like the Joker with the big red grinny lips and the eyes that just bug out of the head. But yeah, aside from all the other conferences, that was probably really the only one where I was like kind of smiling, like interested, like, oh, hey, look, it's a new Nintendo game that I'm definitely going to play, and Assassin's Creed that I'll most likely end up checking out. And aside from that, as soon as they started with the dance routine with like the light ninja on stage, I just kind of spaced out and was like, okay, it's over.
Can I say something really quick about that? Because you just reminded me.
Okay, I'm gonna sound like a fucking.
Hold on. Wait, no. Wait. I need to say something really quick about this.
I need to.
They are. I completely forgot about this, but Ubisoft actually announced a game for the Wii.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Isn't it?
It's on the Wii.
Just Dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna sound like a perv, but I think the best part about that was that chick's ass. Like that was the only part I was paying attention to. So
better than a car.
Yeah. yeah, that guy trying to fuck that car on stage.
Yeah.
Look, it's a car you'll never be able to afford.
Right.
All right, Reapers, I think we can move on.
Yes, sir. We're going to talk about the well, I don't want to say the big one. It wasn't as big. We're going to talk about, I don't want to talk about EA. We're going to talk about Sony's because it's better than EA's. I think Spider-Man was the shit. Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man. You play as Peter Parkman and get been shot again. God of War, awesome as always. Always been good looking. Really interested to see what else they got to offer. Call of Duty is Call of Duty. Destiny 2 is a Destiny game. Yep. Days Gone is a really interesting looking zombie game. You can say it's kind of like the others, but I feel like the fact that all the zombies, the amount of them that come out really fluidly is real cool and real different in a way. Uncharted is an Uncharted game. Yep, it's an Uncharted game with 2 female protagonists. That's cool. Shadow of the Colossus. I've never played Shadow of the Colossus, so this will be interesting to try out when it does come out. It is a remake. It's a remake. Yes, it's a remake. When I say that a couple more times, I know Ryan will probably say that too. Next up is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I thought it was pretty cool. The gameplay from the demo was pretty good. The graphics suck ass. that's about it on that. Monster Hunter World. I've never played a Monster Hunter game, but this looks like it could be fun. I'd be willing to try it out, probably on PC. PlayStation VR. Yep, that's a thing. And yeah, that was pretty much it for Sony. I'm giving it a B- because it wasn't as good as last year's.
I'll go next.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do agree though. Last year's was much better. No, but nothing we can do about it now. But yeah, Spider-Man looks fantastic. Definitely want to get that game. God of War, I am more optimistic about the game because at first I was on the fence, but it caught my attention. Call of Duty, moving on. Destiny 5, moving on. Days Gone, looks interesting. Uncharted Lost Legacy, oh yeah, like Reaper said, two female protagonists. Got Chloe back. She looks fantastic. Looking forward to that one. Shadow Colossus remake. Never played the original though, but I guess I'll give this one a shot because why not? Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. The gameplay is alright for the most part. It's kind of fun, but everything else about it is Monster Hunter World. It definitely caught my attention. Series. Detroit Become Human. It's interesting, I guess. VR, not my cup of tea though, but I won't go much about it. It's about like a B minus for me, like Reaper said. Where else we go?
I'm gonna nominate Joseph. Joe, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Well, I heard a joke, I'd seen one on Twitter that this was the remastered version of last year's E3 for Sony. For me, they showed a lot of stuff like the, let's see here. For Spider-Man, I'm really interested on how they're going to do that with like comparing those to the Batman Arkham games. I feel that those games, aside from issues I had with Arkham Knight with like the tank and the Batmobile, those are probably like the best superhero, at least controlling, that I've played. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle, especially with it being an open world, and just how previous games that they've made have, some of them were really good and others were really bad. So that's definitely, I mean, it's something I'm going to be interested in. God of War, I think, looks super exciting. It's been a game that I've played since I was really young, and seeing how they kind of evolved the character and how they're going what seems like more of a storytelling route instead of just like straight up, here's the god you're killing in this level, you run through ripping people apart. So
Yeah.
It'll be nice to see him a little bit more of like a nuanced story told, and seeing him, because we know from the other games that he is this insane, crazy, rip people apart and pull their eyes out guy. So seeing how he handles all that while having a child around, and his relationship with a kid, seems like it'll be something that I'm really interested in to see how they do. Destiny is a game that I love to hate. I've played it probably for at least over 1,000 hours on each PS4 and Xbox. So hopefully they fixed a lot of things. They showed a lot of like gameplay before that, so they didn't really have a whole lot really to tell or really reveal at the conference. But I don't like the exclusive content. I think that is, I mean, if in my honest opinion, if you're going to have exclusive content, it should just be an exclusive game. I mean, that would put another huge notch in Sony's belt. But I mean, I'm not really a PC guy, but hearing that it was going to be on PC and that it was going to be at an uncapped frame rate and run at 4K, I was super excited. But then I'm like, well, what am I going to miss if I don't play it on PS4? Am I going to have to wait an entire year? And I'm pretty sure even this holiday season, Xbox One is just going to get the exclusive content from last year that they had. So I'm not a huge fan, but when I end up getting it, it'll probably be on PS4. I played through the first Uncharted games. I didn't end up playing 4 yet. Lost Legacy looks pretty cool. It almost reminded me a lot of Tomb Raider, just because of the female leads. but eventually after I get through 4, I'll probably get to that. And if I remember correctly, it's not like a full $59.99 game. I'm pretty sure it was either 40 or
It's
30,
40.
right?
It's 40.
Yeah.
Just coming out on standalone though.
Yeah. And Shadow of the Colossus remake it wasn't anything I ever expected, especially after them just finishing and putting out what was the last one that was
Last Guardian.
Last Guardian, yeah, it was in development for like 12 years. They just re-released the HD remake, and that was probably 5 or 6 years ago now at this point, but they have a lot to work on in that game. Like, I remember the controls were really bad, the camera angles were really bad, so hopefully they've gone through and touched all that up. Not much of a fighting game guy. Marvel, it looked interesting, the Marvel vs. Capcom, but I mean, that would be honestly more of like an anime or a movie or something I'd rather watch than sit down and play. Detroit looked pretty cool. I never got too big into the David Cage games. I played through Beyond Two Souls, so I mean, if it's somewhat similar to that, like in style, then maybe I'll give it a run through. But yeah, and then when it comes to VR, just I want to get it and I want to try it out, but not for $400. I mean, yeah, like I said before, if I do get it ever, Skyrim will probably be the first one that I end up buying for it. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It was a good conference. It seemed like a lot of stuff from last year that they finally gave date and release windows to.
Yeah, I guess I'll go. So I mean, I liked it more than anything that they had that like huge theater set up. I did say this in the video though. I feel like that was very underutilized because mostly because they didn't show off that many games. I was expecting them to show off a lot of games because they were saying so much about how this is going to be. They did. Well, they were saying how this is going to be like a really long conference. They were going to have like an after show where they talked about games. They were going to talk like it was going to be like 2 to 3 hours, and it only ended up being like an hour. So I was kind of disappointed in that. And I really wanted them to show off way more than they did. So I was a little bit disappointed with the conference in terms of the amount of games they showed off. But what they did show off was interesting. I was interested. I would also like to mention they did have those audio issues when the conference first started, and that was kind of annoying. So I don't know what was going on there. But yeah, the Lost Legacy looks interesting. I've beaten Uncharted 4, so this really just seems more like a side story with Nadine and Chloe, because Chloe wasn't really too in. I don't know how much. I don't know if she was even in Uncharted 4, but she wasn't really in there.
She was not.
Yeah, she wasn't in there. So I guess this is just like a side story in regards to Chloe, which is interesting. It was originally supposed to be like downloadable DLC, but I guess now they decided to make it like a physical standalone DLC for Uncharted. But yeah, I'm interested in checking that out. Don't really have too much to say about that. I did not talk about Detroit Become Human in my video. I kind of forgot to talk about that. It looks all right. Like the whole concept just seems to be like humans versus the machines. The machines have a heart. They they're sentient. They feel like they're being oppressed by humans or something like that, which is interesting. I like that plot, but I don't know. David Cage is I feel like his games can be very hit or miss a lot of the time. Like Beyond Two Souls, I hear is very average at best. Indigo Prophecy was very good up until the end, from what I hear. I've played and beaten Heavy Rain. Yeah, his movies. I've played and beaten Heavy Rain. I really did like Heavy Rain. I mean, there are some problems with the game and its narrative, but I actually did enjoy Heavy Rain for the most part. I honestly think that's his best game, or at least from what I've played of David Cage. It was pretty good. So, I mean, I think that's the standard he should live up to with this. I'm not expecting too much, though. It's David Cage, so I feel like we should kind of keep our expectations fairly low. But yeah, Detroit Become Human. Shadow of the Colossus was like the biggest surprise for me because I was not expecting that at all. I have not really played too much of the original game. I did like what I played of it though. And this is like a remake. It's not just like a straight remaster, which is what's the most interesting. So I don't know if they're going to maybe like what they're going to change exactly. So I'm most looking forward to what the difference is going to be between this game and the original. But from what we saw, it mostly just looks like a huge graphical overhaul, which is good. So I'm looking forward to that. They talked about, they showed Days Gone. Initially, I wasn't really too interested in Days Gone because it just looked like The Walking Dead. This kind of showed that it's a little bit more than that, though, because it showed that the animals are also infected, like the bears, I think the dogs too. And the zombies also work a little bit differently than they do in Walking Dead. Here, they're kind of like the 28 Days Later zombies that run, and they also run in these like kind of packs, so they kind of like sort of all get together and like run after people, which is interesting. You can use them against people if you want to kill people. So you can kind of use the zombies to kill your human enemies, which is something I can really see myself abusing if I play this game. But yeah, it looks really good. I actually like the approach to some of to stuff like that, where you can kind of make it so the zombies will go after people. So I like that. Spider-Man looks really hype. I like the Arkham style combat, but it does look like there are some, it does have its own identity in terms of how it approaches combat, because you can use obviously use web abilities to restrain enemies or do various other things, like use the web ball and some other stuff. Like you can hang up enemies with your web. So I can see there's a lot of use for stuff like that. It looks good, though. I like that it's incorporating things from the comics like Miles Morales, and it's bringing in some other villains from the Marvel universe, like Wilson Fisk from Daredevil, Mr. Negative. But what else was there? What am I missing here? Let's see. Oh, okay. So on Monster Hunter World, I can't really comment too much on that. I haven't really played much Monster Hunter, but this looks pretty different for a Monster Hunter game, so that could be good. But it's not an exclusive. I will say that against Sony, it's not. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what platform I'm going to end up playing that one on, but it does look interesting. So, and Marvel vs. Capcom, again, something I can't really comment too much on because I have not played the other Marvel vs. Capcom games. But yeah, I will say that the models look really weird. So I don't know, that can be a potential turnoff. I mean, it might be a good game. I have not played it, so I can't really judge. But yeah, not a lot to say in regards to that one. But yeah, other than that, they showed off some VR stuff. Oh, right, God of War. God of War, it's going in a different direction than the other games. Like pretty much Joe's already said. It looks like it's going in a more story-oriented. It's going to be a more story-oriented game than the other God of War games were, because the other God of War games weren't so much focused on that, and they weren't so much focused on specifically like Kratos as a character. It was mostly like you're trying to get revenge, and you were going to kill the gods and get revenge on what happened to your family, and that was pretty much the story. And you were trying to kill the Greek gods. In this, I think it's the Nordic gods, so it's like a different setting, and it's definitely just more character oriented. It looks like it's trying to focus more on Kratos as like they're trying to make him more like a sympathetic sort of father figure. And I will say that is going to be kind of difficult to do considering what he's done in the other games. So I don't know. But I mean, I do like the direction they're going with it. I think it's an interesting direction. They're trying to have it so he's building this relationship with this kid. I think that could be interesting. So I don't know. We haven't really seen too much in terms of like I like the gameplay they showed. They didn't show a lot, but what they did show was definitely really, really good. I like that you're using different weapons other than like the chain blades. You're using an axe, and you're using some other stuff too, which is I don't know. I think that that apparently makes it look like the combat is going to be different too, because you're not using those chain blades. So. That could make for some interesting variations in terms of how you approach like a combat situation. But yeah, a lot of it definitely does look like it's very story driven. So can't wait to see what they do with that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's 2018 too, so looking forward to that. But that's pretty much it, though. There was a lot of stuff I was hoping they would show, but they didn't end up showing. But what they did show was good. I just feel like, yeah, they did not show enough.
All right, who hasn't gone yet?
I think
Wrap
it's
it
me.
up.
All right, James.
Yeah, it's James, me, then Ren.
All right, I went on for much longer than I thought I would. So
Yeah, I think Ren doesn't want to go until after the podcast, so we're good. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, Spider-Man was probably my most favorite thing that I saw from Sony. Just because there's so much anticipation for it, nobody knew how the gameplay was going to be. So I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm shocked that they brought back the web, like lock zipping thing. I don't know what to call it. It's from the Amazing Spider-Man games. I think Red knows, but yeah, that shit was unexpected, but I think it's okay. Makes maneuvering a little easier. The combat, some people said it looks Arkham-y. Kind of to me, but I feel like they added their own stuff to make it different. Monster Hunter, the first time I've ever been interested in a Monster Hunter game, because usually I hate when Capcom spams them. But this one looked a lot less goofy, so I might give it a go. Plus, it's finally on a system I can actually play it on. What else was there? That's about it, I guess, for me. I wasn't really too anticipative of anything else. Oh, and Shadow of the Colossus was very unexpected. Days Gone, maybe. I'm 50-50. I want to play a demo of that game to know how I feel about it. But yeah, that's all my thoughts, pretty much.
I mean, it looks like they're doing some different things with the zombies, at least. But
I like the lure mechanic. That was interesting.
yeah. DMC5 never.
Shush, Reapers. It's not till 20 years from now.
Reaper.
When Capcom's literally going to go under.
That's literally a subject for a whole nother day. But I will just kind of go through most of this pretty quickly because I'm not going to talk about everything. Spider-Man looked cool. Don't know too much about God of War, so I'm not really going to talk about that. COD World War II basically looks like COD. The one thing that I really hate about it is that it is very historically inaccurate, but that is a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. I don't care about Destiny. Days Gone, I need to see more. Uncharted Lost Legacy, I still need to finish Uncharted 4, and I also need to go back to the previous Uncharted games. Shadow of the Colossus remake, I will say that the remake is probably going to do what the original game did and just try to push boundaries for the hardware that it's coming onto. And I have a strong feeling that because this is a Sony first-party exclusive, that this will have pro support without a doubt. So potentially 4K 30 FPS, maybe. I don't know. Not going to talk about Marvel, although I do hate how they fucked with Dante's face. Monster Hunter World, my biggest question is what engine is Capcom running this game on? Because normally if they're running this on say Unreal 4 or Unity 5 in the one instance that they did that with a completely different game, they usually have the engine logo right next to the platform and company logos. So, and I didn't see that with Monster Hunter World. So potentially this could be a first party engine. Could this be Pantaray, or could this be just a specific dedicated engine to Monster Hunter? Your guess is as good as mine. Don't care about David Cage or any of the games that he makes, so I will be skipping that.
Cage.
No rage in the cage.
Nope. PSVR. I don't really care because they still don't have games that actually would interest me and would give
Final
me an incentive
Fishing
to.
15 doesn't interest you?
No, and that's the other thing too. It's okay. I don't care about fucking fishing in first person. I don't care. If you can give me VR support for something like Siege, then I just don't care. give me that VR support for games that I can actually potentially care about VR for, or just give me VR games that look far more interesting.
All right.
But that's about it. So, Ren, you go ahead and take the floor.
Okay, so Spider-Man for PS4, that game looks incredible. Spider-Man 2 web slinging. They have some gadgets for Spider-Man. Now he can stick people to walls. It reminded me a lot of Arkham. The combat looks incredible. Spider-Man has a health bar, something you don't really see in a lot of the beat-nox games sometimes. I really loved like the concept, the characters. They showed off Miles Morales, so that might be a little allusion to playing with another Spider-Man. It was overall amazing. I cannot wait to play the game next year. I think it's going to be hype, and with the combat looking that great, there's definitely going to be challenge mode opportunities. Next we have God of War. I like the God of War series. This game looks vastly different from the older ones, which made me skeptical. However, because they are at least attempting to, try to remedy the issues, they made the combat look a little bit more slick. I'm willing to give it a go. For the most part, the design also looks pretty incredible with the creatures. I can't wait for this to drop next year. Call of Duty World War II, I don't care about COD anymore, to be honest. Call of Duty is washed up to me, to be honest. Destiny 2, I never really cared for Destiny. Days Gone, the gameplay, it looks like it could be something. I was skeptical because, another zombie apocalyptic shooter. But the enemies, the horde, how everything just looks very chaotic. That's something that we rarely see. I'm hoping that it's expanded on when we get our hands on a possible demo. Also, zombie bears. You can't beat that. It's going to be some interesting boss potential with some of the monsters and creatures in the environment. Next we have Uncharted Lost Legacy. They didn't show much, unfortunately. They showed more at like extended conferences after E3. The gameplay looks just like Uncharted 4, which is a breath of fresh air, to be honest. I mean, Uncharted 4 is still a good game. They're adding in new weapons, mechanics, and you get to see Nadine snap people's necks and take your kills. So that's going to be pretty fun to play. Shadow of the Colossus, I wasn't expecting this at all. Also, Blue Point Games, they need more credit because they make a lot of good remasters. But this remake, and it is a remake, definitely something that's on my radar. The first game had a lot of tech issues with the frame rate, so I'm hoping they could improve that for the remake, definitely. Also, they're making the graphics look even more spectacular, which is crazy. Next we have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It looks like baby shit, so we'll skip that. Next we have Monster Hunter World. Game looks great. It looks like it's running on definitely some kind of voodoo magic because that engine, Capcom level, it took me by surprise. I thought it was a different game from a different company entirely. I was like, Capcom. Yeah, I was like, Capcom is doing this. Those graphics look way too good for Capcom. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope that they don't just destroy the game with DLC because Capcom tends to do that after launch. Next week. Go ahead.
Can I say something about that? I know for Monster Hunter, they usually just give out a lot of free DLC.
That is good. That is, that is really good. And I'll give them that. If they do free DLC and support like the game and, they don't pull any fuckery, then I'm cool with it. Next we have Detroit Become Human. I liked Heavy Rain. I really didn't care much about Beyond because the story didn't feel... it felt like they were taking all the concepts that they originally were going to do for Heavy Rain with the supernatural stuff and just put it in Beyond, so I didn't care for it. However, I might give this a rental because it might be a funny live stream, so that's what I'm thinking about it currently. PlayStation VR. I just, like I said before, VR it seems like it could be an interesting concept if done right, but for now it's not. It's expensive, so the games I really didn't care about. Final Fantasy Fishing. I can't believe this is an actual game. So, but they had a segment, so I just don't care too much about it. That's how I feel. So, anyone else want to go, or are we wrapped up for Sony?
Yeah, I think we might be done with Sony.
All right. So, since I'm going right now, we might as well get it out of the way. EA press conference. Ugh.
And they're bullshit.
And they're bullshit. So I want to go really quickly. Battlefront 2, it seemed like they spent way too long on it. The commentators were annoying. The game looks like it's a step up from the original because they're putting in more content. Supposedly, they're going to keep having free DLC. We'll see how long that lasts. It's EA. Madden 18 gets a story mode. Why? Why in God's green earth does a football game have a story mode? I have no idea.
Getting a story mode.
The only good sport story mode I want to say is Fight Night Champions.
Yeah, but for Madden, it's like, oh, come on, man. It's like, I don't want to be this Joe Blow guy climbing up the ranks. It's not interesting. Written by Spike Lee, a Spike Lee joint. Fuck that. I just don't want to play it. Need for Speed Payback. Honestly, I thought they took some Burnout cues because they have revenge takedowns now for some reason. I was like, this reminds me a lot of Burnout. I don't know, EA. Make a new Burnout game. I don't know. But it's Need for Speed. We'll see what happens with it. I kind of want to play a demo to see how it is, but it's a racing game, so it's whatever. Next we have Anthem. Anthem, once again, looked great. I pretty much talked about it during the last Xbox, panel that we talked about. It looks good. And the way out, it's interesting. Co-op prison break stuff with a partner, that could lead to some hilarious moments of getting caught and beat up by the cops. However, I'm kind of a little bit skeptical about the game because it seemed like the person that was previewing it, he was hyping it up to dear heaven. I was like, okay, that's a little, you're a little too strung up right now. However, the game looks nice. It was an interesting, new take on co-op gameplay from EA with this whole prison break thing, and you're helping your partner, and the graphics, it looks serviceable. A lot of people were comparing it to Uncharted 4, and I can understand the hype behind, third-person co-op stuff. So I'm looking forward to A Way Out. That was about it. Everything else for EA was just boring. Oh, and FIFA 18. FIFA, I could not give 18 fucks about. So there we have it. Yeah, FIFA having story mode, I just didn't care. I gave EA an F. I was like, no. One game,
the greatest balls kicker ever.
Yeah, 1 or 2 games is not enough for me.
I'll go ahead and go next to the EA conference was just also very boring for me because they started off strong with some sports because everybody loves sports games. They talked about Madden and obviously Madden having story mode. I did acknowledge I like that they're doing something different with these sports games and giving them a story mode, but the story modes are all the same. It's all about this fucking average dude rising up and becoming a pro, and it's all the same story. It's just all of it's going to end up being the same in terms of its story mode. So yeah, I'm not really too excited for that. Then again, I don't play sports games, so the only 2 things that really interested me in the EA conference were A Way Out and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Way Out looks like an interesting game, but apparently you can only play a co-op, so you're going to have to find somebody to play a co-op with. And I don't think there's going to be an AI partner, so you kind of have to play a co-op. But it looks like a fun game. Yeah, I can see the Uncharted comparisons, so I don't know. There's not a lot of games, as far as I know, that are just about you getting, just solely about you getting out of prison and trying to escape, the police and all that. There probably is, but not many that are coming out today, at least. So that's kind of different. Battlefront 2, I think the way they showed it off was incredibly boring. They had these like fucking not sports commentators, but these like MLG commentators like commentate over like a game, like a match, like a multiplayer match, and it was all on the same map. I think what they should have done is they should have just had somebody come up there, talk briefly about the game, and showed like some gameplay of the different maps and the different levels and like what each game mode is, instead of just showing this one long multiplayer match that is it was also scripted, by the way. Like the entire match apparently came out that was like everything was scripted. The commentary was also scripted, and Justine was there too for some reason. So yeah, there's that. In general though, the EA conference, I mean, the Need for Speed stuff was pretty okay too. I wasn't sure how to feel about that because, like Ren said, it's pretty much burnout. They just run into a car and it explodes, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of challenge because it seems like you just kind of nudge a car and it'll like you can kind of just make it crash. So I don't know. Hopefully they fix that, but yeah, also that, and that everybody there presenting, like most of the people there except for the guy that was presenting for like A Way Out, was really like they seemed like their soul had been killed, or like they just had no soul, and they were so bored. They just seemed like they just did not care about what they were talking about. So I thought that was the funniest part. But yeah, it was just so boring. Like they just were so bored talking about it. I was really bored listening to them talk about these games that they obviously just didn't care about. So I don't know. It was just a really just all around very, very boring show. Anybody else want to go?
EA was real boring. We saw a bunch of sports games, sports. Need for Speed Payback, Fast and the Furious Edition looked pretty good visually, but I'm not entirely sold by it. It looks like a Burnout game, which is cool, but it still has Need for Speed in the name, so it might not be because it's not Most Wanted. Please make Most Wanted 2. That's the only game I really care about. They showed a little teaser of Anthem. That's cool. Star Wars Battlefront 2. It looks cool, but I wasn't a fan of the first one and how it was done. So it kind of left like a bad taste in the mouth. So I'm kind of like iffy about it. It looks cool, but I don't know. Depends if everybody else gets it, because I'm not gonna buy it and nobody else has it. You know what I mean? A Way Out was the actual only interesting looking game to me, because it looked like you had like a lot of options that you can do, and you have to work together with somebody, which is cool, which is fun. You don't get to see that a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much EA's conference. It was the worst one. It was like trying to compete with the PC game show, which I sat through and played video games while it was on. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Devolver Digital for their really weird press conference, but they did it on purpose to pretty much parody everybody else's stuff. And I believe I was listening to a podcast and they told me that press conference that they did was like 12 hours long.
Holy shit.
Wow. They were just fucking around.
They just did the Let's Play thing.
Yeah, they had wrestlers come in. They had like special guests come in. They were like ripping their shirts off and doing like weird stuff that you see like at Adult Swim, like at really late at night. So stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. EA gets a D- for me.
So I can go for EA's. Everything was absolute utter shit. The only thing that looked remotely interesting was Need for Speed, but Need for Speed looked like fucking Burnout meets Fast and Furious. So it feels like they should have just titled this game either Burnout, or they should have just did some like cross-promotional bullshit and actually make a Fast and Furious game. Although that would probably turn out to be just as shit. EA can get a big fuck you and a F-.
God damn, you gonna do him like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna do him like that. Bury
Okay,
him
Dom.
alive.
He's on the EA Rose train, everyone. He's gonna burn down their offices, so we will see him next time.
Please, we'll make a new podcast for that.
EA Rose Binge 2.0.
Dom, you didn't like the Star Wars Battlefront?
Oh, okay. You know what my biggest problem with Battlefront, and I don't want to go any longer than what I have to, but Battlefront, the problem is that they didn't have any like environmental destruction. And I think that would have been really cool to see during the fights if like I could understand if they wanted to keep like one thing not getting destroyed because it's part of like the objective for a two-phase thing. But for like everything else, like, you know, you see a guy crash into one building like 3 times during that gameplay demo, and it's like, why didn't that tower like crash through? Like, this is like shit you would expect to see in like Battlefield, right? So like, why didn't they just transition this over? I mean, this is on the Frostbite engine, so it just, to me, it just did not make any sense.
I'm just assuming that it's a bigger game. I'm just gonna make that assumption. So like having environmental destruction probably caused the frame rate to tank down to like, you know, the teens or whatever. And that's just a wild.
I mean, they only showed one map though. That's my problem with it.
Oh, actually, I just remember they did do something good for that game. Actually, the heroes are Battlefront. The Darth Maul, that shit. They actually, all the Jedis actually run fast and are acrobatic, and the thing they were in the original Battlefront too. So I'm like, oh, you guys remembered their physical skills. Thank God.
Darth Maul.
You know, one thing that makes me happy though.
Darth Maul
one thing that makes me happy. To see Rey in the game and for me to kill her.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what, Darth Maul, you're my new best friend. Let's kill this bitch.
Yes, the Fuck Ray podcast. Oh wait, that sounded dirty. Never mind.
Can I play as Finn though?
We turn this into the Porno podcast.
Okay, so
I will main Finn.
The Finn thing is kind of disappointing because I don't think he's going to be in the game during launch, but he is going to be added post-launch because he's DLC. He's free DLC. So you have your chance. You have your chance.
The only black man worth a damn in Star Wars.
What about Mace Windu?
Oh wait, no,
he's dead.
You got thrown out a window.
He will see. He had a fucking purple lightsaber. He was.
I mean, he was hyped, but
died.
he's dead.
He's dead, man.
He'll
That's
be
the
back.
only problem is he's dead.
He'll be back.
I just
want
to play as Sam L. Jackson, okay? And when I play as the stormtroopers in this game, I'm going to be intentionally inaccurate.
Just, you know, you play with Sam Jackson, just say motherfucker like 5,000 times. I guess the enemies will get the point. Alright, so we done with EA or did Joe go? Yep.
No, all I watched was the Star Wars stuff. I'm not a sports guy, so I just skipped right to the.
What about you, Brandon?
Well, TV sports, TV, EA sucks. You get a big fat E.
Big fat E. They should get an I for irrelevant.
Actually, let me correct myself really quick. Anthem maybe could be interesting, and A Way Out kind of looked like Uncharted, but that doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It looks interesting, but overall, I would still give them an F because it was just mostly talking about sports, shit that nobody cares about.
Somebody cares about it.
Sports guys, probably. It's not me because I'm not into simulation sports. I just no.
Look, I'll tell my one friend Pablo about it. He'll love it.
Get the FIFA.
You like the FIFA?
You like the FIFA?
Bring back Pele.
Bring back Pele.
So we have to do the last conference here, which is Nintendo. Yeah.
I missed this one, so I can't say anything.
Well, I have updates here, so. They announced Metroid Prime 4, JPEG image.
Prime 4.
You know, that, for a gameplay presentation, you need more.
That did bug me, I heard.
Yeah, that kind of bugged me too.
I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate, like, because I can understand the hype. I mean, yeah, there wasn't any gameplay, but I can understand, because, like, it's been a while since we got a Metroid Prime game, so...
It is, yeah. The last time we got one was Federation Force, and it sucked.
I agree, but the issue I have with it is people saying, "Oh, they have the best conference because they did that." I'm like, but there's no gameplay.
No, I completely disagree with that.
I don't agree. I agree with that. It's awesome they're making it, but
No gameplay, therefore not the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah, I wish they would have showed something, but it's good that it's coming at least. I did play the previous Metroid Prime game and I liked it. I enjoyed it. So, it's coming, but in terms of showing something at E3, it wasn't enough, in my opinion, for the image. I just felt that it was a little lazy, to be honest. Next we have Metroid Samus Returns. I actually watched a video of Daybreaker talking about this, and he said this game was being done by the Castlevania guys, Mercury Steam, I believe. I'm kind of indifferent about them because I did not like Lords of Shadow 2, so I don't know how this is gonna go, to be honest.
Well, it could be a good thing if you're a Metroidvania fan.
Yeah, it could be, because I think they made a Metroidvania, Castlevania Lords of Shadow game. I forgot what it was called.
Mirror of fucking, what was it?
Mirror of Fate.
Mirror of Fate, yeah.
It was okay. I'll just say okay.
I played a little bit, and yeah, it's okay. It's sitting right there, in my opinion, okay status. But we'll see what happens. Mainline Pokemon game. I kind of dropped off the rails when it comes to Pokemon, so I'm kind of going to skip that one. Super Mario Odyssey. It's funny how so many people are hype over Mario throwing a hat on tanks, but when it comes to Xbox announcing their tech, people aren't as hype. I saw memes about that, so I had to make that joke. But it's typical, Super Mario stuff. The hat stuff looks interesting. I'm pretty sure the game is going to be good because first-party Nintendo games usually turn out a lot more better than some of their third-party attempts, which we're going to talk about at the end of this.
Wait, what third party?
Oh, yeah. Well, basically that. What third party? So we're going to get down to the list. We have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC. They didn't show exactly what it was, I think. I didn't see all of it, but it's Breath of the Wild DLC. DLC at E3 doesn't impress me too much. And Rocket League announced for the Switch. We had this game like 2 years ago, I think. So it's like, yeah, their conference, it has some announcements and it has some gameplay like Super Mario Odyssey that look interesting. However, everything else just seemed to fizzle out, so I would give them at least a C- in my opinion.
Okay, so I'll go real quick because there's not much to say. I was actually expecting it to be much worse than it ended up being. I wasn't expecting to like it at all. But I was pleasantly surprised. They didn't have a lot of time, because that was what concerned me, because it was originally going to be like a 30-minute conference. It was cut down to 25, I think. They showed three things that did interest me, though. Obviously, the Metroid Prime announcement. I'm really excited for that because I do like the Metroid Prime series. Gameplay would have been nice, or like something more than just a title. That gives me the impression they're really not too far in development. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I don't know. That doesn't really instill confidence. I'm glad they're working on it. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, just seeing the title, I'm not sure. Hopefully we'll get some more information about that sometime soon. Xenoblade 2. I'm interested in Xenoblade 2. It looks like it'll be a good game. It looks a little bit different from Chronicles X. I played a little bit of Chronicles X. I did not play the original Xenoblade, so I can't really comment on it, but it looks very similar to the original from what I've seen of the original game. It looks more similar to that than it does like Chronicles X. So I don't know. I did like Chronicles X, but I kind of dropped it after a while. So it wasn't really because of boredom. I just kind of played other things. But Xenoblade 2 definitely looks like it'd be something up my alley. Is it a system seller? No. That's the problem. I kind of wanted there to be something that would just blow me away and just be a system seller, but I think that's a little bit too much to ask. Mario Odyssey does definitely look interesting, but yeah, it's like I don't know. It's another Mario game, and we've got like a ton of Mario games, so yeah, I don't know. And then they showed the Mario Rabbids game again. They already showed that at the Ubisoft conference, so they really didn't show us anything new in regards to that. I think it was mostly like the same gameplay we've already seen. I think that's about it. I don't think they showed anything else. Yeah, so it was a good conference though. I mean, they showed a few things that I was interested in, but yeah, nothing really that was going to sell me on the console though. That's the thing that it just didn't sell me. Oh, they did show the Fire Emblem Warriors game, and it's a Muso title, I think. So it's yeah, I've never been big on the Muso titles.
So guilty pleasure series. So if
yeah,
you like it, you don't. You
but
don't.
yeah, it's a Switch exclusive, so not worth getting a Switch over. Not at least in my opinion. They showed Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC, which could be good for people who have Breath of the Wild, and I'm pretty sure that's the main reason why people bought the Switch. So they probably need something to tide them over. So I'm sure that'll do the trick. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So.
Okay, is it cool if I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
I said on one of the videos I made, this is the E3 that Nintendo fans wanted like 4 years ago. I mean, for me personally, I feel that if they had like the same type of attitude towards what they're doing with Switch, that what they did with the Wii U, it probably wouldn't have ended off as bad as it is. But yeah, as far as for like Metroid Prime 4 being shown, it, as far as I understand, isn't in development at Retro. They've been working on a game for like 3 years, and I can't remember what the name of the studio was they said is working on it. But yeah, but Prime 4 is, I'm assuming, just being started, and they're tired of people hounding them, especially after the backlash of Federation Force. So they
Federation flop.
Yeah, is just being like, here, we're doing it now, just don't bother us anymore. And I think them talking too about them making a mainline Pokemon game was probably like a last minute response to people being upset about the Pokemon Direct, that they basically said that they didn't mention anything about that at all. So I'm assuming that was probably thrown in at the last minute. The biggest announcement for me, which I was strange that they didn't have it in the spotlight video, was the Metroid on the 3DS. Because I forget exactly what I was doing, but I was browsing through YouTube afterwards, and I saw that, and I was like, well, why wasn't that in the thing? Like, that would have made it, for many fans, I feel like, a lot better.
That.
Like,
They did that last year too.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they showed the same footage twice, but they have two separate gameplay videos of the Treehouse playing Samus Returns, and it again, to me, that's like, if that would have been in the spotlight, I would have been like, okay, then they won E3, but the fact that they only showed it afterwards was confusing to me and a little bit of a letdown. I think that probably would have piggybacked either good going before or after the Prime 4 announcement. Super Mario Odyssey looks great. It's the like sandboxy type Mario game that I've been waiting for. I played the other ones, the 3D Land and 3D World, and I mean, while they were great, they weren't like a Super Mario 64 or even get like Galaxy, which these look like they're finally going back to that more 3D open world type gameplay. And I heard them saying in an interview too that, like, with the older games, when you would finish like an objective, it would kick you back out of the level or like the area that you were at. They were saying that you can actually finish more than one objective going through in like at one playtime, so you're not forced to go back and forth between levels. The Breath of the Wild, the DLC is, I mean, I bought it before they even really announced what it was, and so far all I've had to show for it was just the Nintendo Switch shirt for Link. So seeing what it was going to be is it at least put my wallet at ease, so that I know I didn't just blow my money on nothing that might not come for who knows how long. And with Rocket League, I mean, that's, like you guys said earlier, that's been on everything else way earlier and way before. But from my understanding is it's going to be one of the games that you can do cross-platform, except without Sony. And I know that they did the same thing they talked about with Minecraft for that too. But as far as my understanding goes too, with that, you have to actually sign into Xbox Live through your Switch to even be able to play it. So I'm wondering now if people are going to have to have like a paid Xbox Live account, even if they're only on Switch.
It's weird.
But yeah, it was aside from them omitting Samus Returns, I thought the Nintendo showing was great. Like I said before too, with the Rabbids, that's a game that I'm definitely going to get. And it was, aside from the Ubisoft conference, probably the one that I enjoyed watching the most for sure.
Okay. I am also a Switch owner, so I have the console. I'm up for the RPGs. Switch and the Wii U had some good ones, so I bought it for it. I enjoyed their conference. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. I liked Xenoblade. The other games were real cool, so I'm going to be hyped for this one. I am a Metroid Prime fan. I remember when I played the first one, I was a little boy, not a man yet. I was at Target, and they had the little demo, and I was, oh, this is cool. What is this Metroid? That was back when I thought Samus was a dude in the suit.
Right.
But yeah, I was really happy that they're actually making Metroid 4. I know it's a Metroid Prime 4, excuse me. I know it's a very high demand by the fans. I kind of wish they would localize Mother 3 because Nintendo themselves kind of parried themselves with the Robot Chicken little segment where they asked for it, but they still kind of refuse to do it. The Legend of Zelda DLC is pretty cool. It's cool to have DLCs. You have to pay for those, don't you? I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was only $20 though for all of it.
Nah, but you have to pay for most of every DLC for whatever company, so it don't matter. I'm not too keen on Super Mario Odyssey. I want Mario Odyssey. Excuse me. Mario Odyssey looks really good. It's real different. It's the only Mario game that I actually kind of was like, oh, this looks actually good. I might actually get a Mario game. It's really different from the other ones, and it really caught my eye. So, as weird as it sounds to some people that listen in, they know that I don't really talk much about Nintendo. Yeah, I'm gonna pick this up. I think the little hat things is kind of silly, but I mean, it looks real cool. It's real colorful. It looks real nice. It's different. So I'm gonna get that. What I'm not too keen on is the Ubisoft game. I don't really like the XCOM / Mario thing, but it looks good. I'm not gonna lie, it looks good. But yeah, Rocket League, it's Rocket League, and mainline Pokemon game. It's great. I was upset when they had that conference and they said we're getting Ultra Sun and Moon on the 3DS, and I know a lot of people are gonna disagree, but I feel like the 3DS needs to die out already so we can start getting games on the Switch. I mean, I feel like
real quick, that Nintendo did say that they wanted to support the platform beyond 2018 as a companion piece to the Switch.
Yeah, that's why I said I wish, but it's not, because unfortunately, I know Metroid for Samus Return is cool, but I just wish it came out on the Switch and not the 3DS. It's like it would have been a good opportunity for the Switch. And I know we're getting gold and silver for this 3DS as a virtual console. I wish we could get that on the Switch, but you see, I kind of feel like the 3DS has taken away all the good stuff, and I kind of wish it wasn't there, so they would just put it on the Switch so you had more stuff to play on it. But I know people are going to disagree. I own the 3DS and I like it, but it's kind of like I want to do it on my Switch. But yeah, I feel like Sony's, to me, was top, not by much, not as much as last year. Second, I'd have to say would have to be Nintendo's, and third, Microsoft. I know it's kind of a weird combination, but I like some of the Nintendo games. I own the Switch, and yeah, I think some of the stuff they have is cool. We don't know the date for some of the big stuff. We only had like a JPEG, so I kind of wasn't too hyped about it. But it's nice to know that it exists. And yeah, that's all I have to say about the Nintendo conference.
Yeah, Metroid's at least 3 years away.
Mm-hmm. Who else hasn't gone?
I think everyone was good. I think everyone.
If we're good, and people don't want to answer the Nintendo stuff, we can just do short segment because it's getting like to that point of 2 hours, so we got like about 3 questions to answer.
Do you mind if I take the first one on short segment?
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on Sony supposedly holding back games at E3 2017 and saving them for other press events? On the one hand, I would say it's disappointing, but on the other hand, I feel as though what they did with E3 was that, they wanted to get a lot of the games that they'd already had announced, release windows or dates, and just kind of to prepare you for that, while at other events, they'll prepare you for new games to look forward to. So that way you can, be really hyped up about that. So I don't really have an issue with it, personally.
Yeah, it seems like, well, the reaction, of course, people were saying, oh, it's the end of the world, no Resident Evil 2 remake, no DMC 5. That was a little bit too much of an over exaggeration, to be honest. Like, I thought that for the most part, people really need to understand that the year's not over. There's Gamescom, there's PlayStation Experience, there's Tokyo Game Show, the Game Awards. Game Awards is crap, but I think for the most part, them holding back is disappointing because you're at E3. Someone brought up a good point that he felt as though E3 was the biggest conference out of PlayStation Experience. There were so many people in the live stream, like 300K. It was insane. So I think they should have brought out their big guns. Maybe if they did, they would have had a much better conference. And we all know they would have, no question. Like, showing all your stuff early at the biggest show floor is something that people is really looking forward to, especially after so many announcements they had. So it's rather disappointing, but it's not going to be, the end of the world, in my opinion. Also, yeah, no Vita at all. That kind of surprised me too, to be honest, because they talked about it last year, but not this year. So yeah. So anyone else want to go on this?
No, we good.
All right, so we can move on to the next question. I guess I'll take that. Let me see here. Okay, so what do you think of Dragon Ball Z Fighters?
I hope that these Super Saiyans don't play the same, like I'm hearing they did in the 3DS game that Arx has made for them. But it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to try it out.
I need to play it because so far I am not entirely impressed, honestly.
Really?
Especially with the whole animations and the graphic style. I don't like it because it looks too janky.
Okay.
Yeah, the frame rate bothers me a little bit with it. I mean, not the frame rate, the animations, yeah.
I just like that Capcom shitting themselves over it. That's my favorite part.
It's being done by the guys behind BlazBlue, right?
Honestly.
And Guilty Gear.
Yeah, BlazBlue, Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
I mean, 20% done is blowing away people compared to shit like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So I want to give it a go, give a demo a chance, before I actually buy it, see what other characters they include into the mix, because I want to see who else gets included into the game, obviously. It could take some work, but if they iron it out and make a good game and avoid auto combos, like I said in my video, because auto combos really annoy me, and that would annoy me if they put that in this game, then we could have something. I mean, I'm always open to more DBZ fighting games, whether they be like 2D or 3D, so that's how I feel about it. So anyone else? Opinions?
Nah.
All right, Pasta. We can move on to the Atari box.
Well, I was gonna ask, should we talk about IO Interactive or Atari? Because I feel like both of those are kind of pretty big topics.
We still have time. We got like about 10 more minutes.
Avoid Atari, Kappa.
Okay, so first off, Atari is making the Atari box. It's supposedly based on PC technology. A lot of people are saying that they don't know if this means that they are doing a retro Atari console or something completely new. Daybreaker also said that if they try to compete with PlayStation, Xbox, anything else, they might get stomped out if they try to be a new competitor. Personally, I want to see something new because I like competition. Even back then,
I hadn't heard about this actually.
yeah, they showed a trailer for the Atari box not too long ago. And I just don't know how I feel about it if it's a new competitor. To be honest, I like competition, but can they get those third-party exclusives? Can they get first-party? That remains to be seen.
Well, you mean are they competent to actually be competition? That's the better question.
Yeah, because, well, I don't know much about the history of Atari consoles, but I assume that the Jaguar I assume the Jaguar did not go over so great.
The Jaguar is so
2.0.
bad. The Jaguar is so bad it was recycled as dental equipment.
What? Really?
So it's kind of like,
Yeah,
it's kind of like the Xbox Kinect, where the Kinect is better as medical equipment than it is a gaming thing. I'm gonna say now that, like, I like the idea of there potentially being a new competitor out on the market, because for a while now it's just been Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. So seeing somebody jump into the fray that hasn't been in the competition for quite some time now could mean some interesting things. And maybe they won't be able to compete with like Sony and Microsoft, but perhaps they could be on the level of, or in competition with Nintendo directly. So that, just kind of forming a sort of niche platform, if anything. So I would say we'll see. I know some people, for whatever reason, are assuming that Sega should do this and come back into the console market.
No.
That's probably never going to happen.
Wait, who?
Sega.
Oh, hell no.
It's
no.
For certain probably never going to happen. I mean, I feel like if anything, even if it were somehow remotely possible, right, they would probably just pull like a Nintendo and just make their own version of like the Dreamcast Mini or the Saturn Mini, where they just put in a few games in a little emulator box and just call it a day, and not really go into the console market again, because they're not really in they don't have the money to really make consoles at this point. And that was part of the reason why they completely restructured from their company, was because they just were not making their money back on it. So yeah, but and in the case of Atari, there's the possibility that this could just be a big, super powerful emulation box and not a new console,
Steam
really.
machine again.
Yeah, so for all we know, this probably isn't even a new console. But if it is, I would want to see more, and I'd like to see the potential of maybe some new competition there.
Are they marketing this as a mini computer, or are they like trying to do a console that has PC architecture, or is it like trying to be like a computer but in the form of like a console type thing? Because they did that with the Alienware and like the Alienware, whatever the fuck it was called, like the Alienware consoles or whatever the fuck, and the Steam machine. And those were failures. Like, those were like way too expensive for anybody to afford, and they just didn't end up being successful. So I don't know if that's what they're doing with this. But yeah, if so, it won't. I don't know. I don't see it really selling.
Only if they bring back Space Invaders.
yeah, bring it back like as a remake or something. Remember that?
And E.T.
Oh man.
Oh Jesus fuck, not E.T.
Oh, put it in a landfill again, please. Jesus. Jesus Christ. But yeah, any other thoughts, opinions about the Atari box?
Move on.
All right, shut up. We're doing which question now? IO Interactive. So they became fully independent. They have retained the rights to the Hitman franchise, which is crazy because I thought Square Enix was going to hold on to that like no tomorrow, but they have the rights. So I think this is a great move. Honestly, it shows that Square Enix isn't too greedy when it comes to giving up some IPs that, well, they're Square Enix now, but it just shows that, I said this in my video too, they might be just way too busy to like even care about Hitman anymore because they're working on like Final Fantasy Remake and they're doing Kingdom Hearts, so they just might have had a change of heart. I wish they did that for like stuff like Sleeping Dogs, but it's whatever. I think it's a good decision. I can't wait to see what they do. I said Hitman, it's a good game, but it needs some like reinvention because Hitman is feeling like the same old formula time and time again. You go to a target, you kill them. I wish it was some new life injected into it, but it's a fun game overall. I played the new one a lot and I really enjoyed it. So what does anyone else think?
Okay, I was gonna ask, do you think now that they're independent, we could potentially see some like revival of a franchise or a game that has not really, because they've only really been working on Hitman and like Kane and Lynch.
They could do a new IP as well. I wouldn't mind because honestly,
Freedom Fighters too.
Yeah, Freedom Fighters, that would be cool.
Or if they own the IP, then yeah, sure. But if they don't own it, then that's not possible.
Yeah, I think it was Free Radical that was also worked on the Freedom Fighters. So.
Well, I said the same thing about Kane and Lynch as well. Like, I don't know if they could possibly ever bring that back, but I mean, who knows how Square Enix is with their IPs, giving them away. They gave away Hitman, but who knows about the others? So maybe in the future something could happen, but for now we don't know.
I have a question. Was it mostly Square Enix that decided to go with the episodic route with the new Hitman and also just kind of doing the stupid little mobile games that they had?
I think it was because Square Enix also was involved with Life is Strange, and that game was episodic. So
okay, because I'm asking because I can see this. I've never played a Hitman game before, and I'd like to at least try out the series. But I can also just kind of thinking about the potential for this. This could mean that after, and I don't know if they're doing episodic content still for that Hitman or not. But say they finish off with whatever they're at or whatever they have left to release for that game, and then decide, okay, hey, you know what? We're going to actually start working on a new game. We're not going to make it episodic. We're actually going to make a fully fledged new Hitman game for the fans and make it more something along the lines of the more highly regarded Hitman games, potentially.
Probably like Blood Money. Blood Money was really good, and a lot of fans liked it. So, I mean, any follow-up to that in the same vein would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a new IP could work as well because I mean, Guerrilla, they worked on Killzone for years and they moved on to Horizon, and Horizon's getting like a lot of critical praise right now, so anything could happen.
Yeah, and Horizon is so drastically different in terms of gameplay and story from Killzone too. So it's definitely really different for them.
Is James back, by the way? Because I know he's really into Hitman as well.
I'm not sure, but yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and say my part. I'm really excited for seeing what IO could do now that they're independent. Like, there's a lot that I would like to see from them. Like, I would really like to see them bring back some games, specifically Freedom Fighters, but I don't know if they can do that. Either revive some games that they can actually revive or they have the rights to, or to just come up with something new. I'm sure that it's more going to be the latter. They're going to come up with some new IPs, maybe. I'd also like to see what they're going to do with Hitman now that they're independent from Square Enix. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what it is that they can bring to the table.
Is that it?
Yep.
Nobody else wants to go, or
No, we good.
nah?
All right, so I think
James.
James.
back.
Since
What?
you're here, what do you think about IO Interactive now having the rights to Hitman?
Good on, as Ren said, Squeenix. Reminds me of another company that they should let go of another game. Scalebound. Excuse me. But I think that's really good on them. Makes them look good. Makes them have a better reputation. So yeah, good on them.
oh, last question of the night. Oh man. Okay, so Phil Spencer says that most gamers don't care about 60 FPS, and Scalebound died due to overhype. How you guys feel about that?
Bullshit.
I
That's
figured
how I
as
feel.
much. Yeah,
Um,
it's bullshit.
Okay, as somebody who's been gaming on PC since like early March, I want to say, I can fucking assure you, Phil Spencer, if you so happen to find this video somehow, that I fucking love 60 FPS and above if possible on PC. So I absolutely fucking care about frame rate. Playing something like Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition and having it go at like over 300 frames is absolutely ridiculous, and I love it. Scalebound dying because of overhype? No, Scalebound died because Microsoft had a really bad relationship with Platinum Games and really did not really give them the time to really focus on fine-tuning the game before presentation, had a really bad relationship with a lot of the developers and PR members. So that is entirely on your end, Phil, not on Platinum's or the fans.
I don't know what it is lately with people like Phil Spencer coming out and making an ass of themselves. But Phil Spencer has been doing that quite a bit with some of the statements he's made.
I said this before, like Yoshida of Sony, he doesn't say anything that hurts Sony's PR, so maybe it's best to not say anything, because sometimes it's better
Yeah.
to not say anything and make an ass out of yourself.
Yeah, he was saying this in an interview about the 60 frames, about like somebody had asked him about, like, the interviewer had asked him about 60 frames, and he's like, whoa, I don't see why you'd care about 60 frames, the frame rate doesn't matter. And that's, not only is that incredibly ignorant, but it just makes you look fucking dumb. I just think, as the head of Xbox, in the position he is in, he really does not need to be like saying all that he is saying right now. If anything, he's shooting himself in the foot even more. I think it is, he just needs to shut his fucking mouth, really. I just don't know why he's saying all this stuff. It just makes him look bad. And especially Scalebound, because I really think if there's anything he doesn't need to comment on, it's Scalebound, because Scalebound is one of the reasons why people do not like him right now, because he is pretty much the reason why Scalebound is dead. So yeah, he just really needs to just not talk about that.
Isn't that the whole push for the Xbox X is 4K and 60 frames per second?
Yeah, but they actually mentioned 4K more than I don't recall them actually talking much about frame rate, if that at all, really. They didn't really talk about frame rate. They just more talked about 4K, and how it can run 4K.
Because I'm maybe not on this E3, but I'm pretty sure it was last year when they were announcing it, that was their whole 60 frames 4K, 60 frames 4K.
Yeah. This year's E3, though, they didn't mention anything, as far as I recall, about 60 frames. It was mostly just 4K. So that's also concerning, is that they weren't mentioning the frame rate, and also that Phil is kind of almost seeming like the damage control about the frame rate. It's a little bit worrying. I mean, I'm not saying that the console might not be able to run at 60 frames, but I don't know. It doesn't bode well if you're trying to give us excuses like that. Oh yeah, he also said the future of single player is uncertain when mentioning backwards competitive. I don't know what he meant by that.
It seems like he thinks single player is gonna die out or something. Like, I'm like, how is he certain about that? Because, single player is still thriving. There's still like single player games that you can buy and play. So I don't know what he's talking about. It's like he's trying to prophesize and he's wrong because it hasn't happened yet.
I mean, most of the most successful games actually are single player.
Yeah.
Yeah. And any multiplayer that they've tried to shove into the single player games never really work out that well, like Dead Space or Bioshock, or I don't think Mass Effect for 3 worked out that well, but
I did not like Dead Space 2 multiplayer at all. I thought it was bad. Did not like it. Didn't add anything. That's the problem with tacked on multiplayer. It's like they add it, it's either bad or good. In some cases, it's mostly bad. So yeah, so that's the last question of tonight. Unless you guys want to do the PlayStation thing real quick about backwards compatibility.
What about backwards compatibility?
Jim Ryan was talking about it, saying that he claims that it's not used much on PlayStation 4 due to some demographic of like counting the users. He said it's not used much, so they're probably not going to use backwards compatibility much anymore. I don't know.
It's not on PS4 though. Their answer to backwards compatibility was that streaming garbage that doesn't work.
Well, they have PS2 to PS4, and they do have PS Now, so maybe that's where they got the graph from. But either way, it's like, they don't support old games that much.
I would say the biggest problem, and Jim Ryan's been saying a lot of stupid shit as of late. He's like the Phil Spencer of Sony.
He's chairman of PlayStation alongside Sean Layden.
Yeah, PlayStation UK. But yeah, he's been saying a lot of dumb shit. And one of the things was on backwards compatibility. The biggest problem with like stuff like PS2 to PS4 is that there is a lack of support when it comes to the games. A lot of the games that we have on there right now don't really fucking interest me personally. I haven't talked to anybody that has been personally interested in the PS2 to PS4 library. One of my biggest issues now is that they could potentially use PS2 to PS4 as a lazy way out instead of giving us a legitimate HD remaster that is fully functioning. For example, we had the Jack games that got on PS2 to PS4, and we also had a Resident Evil Code Veronica X on there. All of those games, they have fully functioning remasters on that work perfectly fine, at least on one or more platforms. And that's kind of my issue, where it's like, I would much rather, for like PS2 to PS4, I'd much rather see games that are either really hard to find or either niche or games that just have not gotten their remasters, or because of whatever the case may be, whether it be really hard to get that remaster or those companies just refusing to remaster those games.
I will say I have seen some games that are pretty niche. Yeah, like I think one of the earlier From Software games, like Eternal Ring, that's pretty niche. I don't really hear a lot of people talk about that. That's on PS2 to PS4. Star Ocean 3 isn't really niche, but it's not a lot of people know about that either. So I don't know. There's some, Siren's pretty niche. There's some niche games on there, but the problem with PS2 to PS4 really is that there's not much of a selection in general.
Yeah,
there just needs to be more games.
Like, I said this in my video, like they don't have like everything that they had on their original like PS2, PS1 library. So it's like when these games get hard to buy, where am I going to go to get them?
Is it just me? I don't mean to cut you off here, but is it just me, or does it kind of seem like they're pulling a similar routine with what they did with on PS3, where the digital library for PlayStation 1 and especially PlayStation 2, it was just very limited. There were games that you can get that were interesting, but for the most part, they seemed limited, even after the fact that they had made claims that the entire libraries would be on there.
Yeah, it seems that way, yeah. Right now, I mean, it's the same effect. Not that many games, barely anything up there. If we hear something come to like PS2 to PS4, it usually is like months out, or it's a surprise that people don't know about too much. Like, I think the last game that came on there, I definitely didn't see coming. So, they just need more support, and that's it. Also, I think Jim Ryan said like, oh well, people, why do people go back and play these old games with these bad graphics? And I'm like, bruh, I mean, for like the year 2000,
no DLC.
Yeah, the year 2000, the 90s, that's what they had back then. So the graphics are not going to look like PS4 games. I mean, you don't play a retro game and say, oh, I'm expecting to be blown away by these revolutionary PS4 graphics. It's uncommon. It doesn't happen, unless it's a remake.
I will say that the emulation technology does help to make it look better, but yeah, I mean, I don't expect fucking amazing graphics if I play the goddamn PS2 game. I don't really.
Yeah,
know
if I'm playing like Gran Turismo 1, because he brought that up, like, oh, Gran Turismo 1 looks terrible. I'm like, it was on the PS1.
Yeah, he said it looked ancient.
Yeah, it looked ancient.
It is.
This is actually where I will give Microsoft some props. The way that they handle the backwards compatibility is actually really good. And the way that it seems like they're going to be handling it for the original Xbox, it seems like they're also not only upscaling the games, but improving the visuals a little bit and performance.
Yeah, that's always good. I love updates. They're great. All right, so if that's it for tonight, I guess we can wrap up and do outros. All right, so Mr. BioDevil Dom, where can we find you?
You can find me as BioDevil_Dom on YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. I actually streamed for the first time in a year, surprisingly, so I really need to get back on streaming soon. Maybe this weekend again.
Mr. Chaos?
You can find me on both YouTube and Twitter at Captain Chaos.
Joe Soda?
I am over at SodaCast Productions on YouTube and just SodaCast on Twitter.
Brendan?
Twitter, RKMagic514. Nothing special. I'm black.
Yeah, he's black and he's proud. Mr. James?
You can find me on Twitter at DevHunterJames.
Reapers?
I'm white.
Okay, Oreo man.
You can find me on Twitter and on YouTube at Reapers240.
And you can find me on fucking motorcycle. Shove that motorcycle up your ass out there. You can find me on Twitter at RentOperative_. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. Hopefully there will be less background noise and people shoving bikes up their ass because they won't stop fucking riding around here. Yeah, I will be
super black.
Yeah, I'm black, motherfucker. Yes. Oh, okay.
Darker than the night.
Darker than the night. Whiter than the dawn. But yeah, you will be able to find me there, where I post a lot of random shit. I will be working on. Yeah, that too. I will be working on a Resident Evil Vendetta review because we're watching that tomorrow. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So that's it for this podcast. Hopefully you guys had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun talking about E3 stuff. It was a lot to cover. Gamescom is next. I did like Gamescom last year, so I'm hoping that their show is just as good this year and we see some new surprises down the road.
Is it really next? I thought it was after TGS.
It is before, actually, August. TGS is September, I think.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, Dom. Get with the program.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, I forgot about one show.
either way, it was fun last year. I think it's gonna be fun this year, and we're gonna be live streaming that. So, hopefully you guys come by, check it out. We are going to sign off. We are the Infinite Ammo Syndicate, and we will see you later. Take care.
Bye.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
What is this picture in the chat? This giant black guy. Who is this?
Oh my goodness.